Huh? It's the house!
Hello, freakazoids. How the hell's it going out there? Awesome. Yep, just thought we'd do some updates. I don't really have a lot more to talk about Karmelo Anthony right now. I mean, tomorrow we'll have more because it'll be another day of trial. But Fox News did have an article, or like a story they had, and Paul Morrow, this guy right here, I think he's one of the best there is out there that talks about crimes. So maybe we can review this Fox News clip here and then go over some of the recent articles in the Nancy Guthrie case. And then, now if we want, we can go back over some of the Dylan Mortensen transcript because we didn't finish that one. There's stuff at the end that we never went through. But also, I've been looking into the happy face killer, because the happy face killer is somebody that Rex Heuermann. The happy face killer corresponded with Rex Heuermann, and that's sort of in my area over here. Some of the killings were in Oregon, and I was looking into it. I just started doing it, so I don't know if I'd rather get it all together. It's another one of those, articles and reading and stuff like that, but I think it'll be pretty interesting. Hopefully everybody will want to watch that at some point. I guess we'll see. People don't seem as interested in those really cool, It was from like 1990, 1992. Yeah, just recently they said that Heuermann, the happy face killer wrote Heuermann and Heuermann wrote back. We just don't know what was in them. What they said. That's pretty crazy. Anyways, maybe we could look at the start of it, because it's kind of interesting how there's one killing. I actually was able to it's really difficult to find some of the news articles about them because they're in these remote areas, but I did find the first one. There's one article that mentioned it. The second one was in Oregon, and that one's crazy because this lady took responsibility for it because she was in an abusive relationship with her husband, and so she said that she did it. She wanted to get the hell out of there. And then, believe it or not, the husband actually took a plea deal, which was he got 15 years instead of the death penalty. And so he took a plea deal and everything, but he had nothing to do with it. Neither of them had anything to do with anything. So it shows you sometimes, there are cases out there where people take a deal. It's not like Kohberger. I know the Kohberger people will go, oh, see, that's what Kohberger... No, that's totally different. Kohberger pled guilty and then gave up any chance of ever getting out again. All right, but then the actual killer was found, and then they freed those two people. Okay, but it's a perfect case for the Kohberger nut jobs, right? All right, guys. Well, guess what? Today's another day where we need the support from the people watching. Look at that. There. Look at that. It's as if he read my mind. Wild Bill Wassman. Okay, today's no different than any other day, so if you guys have the ability, that would be great. We're still trying to catch up. Yesterday helped a little bit to catch up on those 3 days that we absolutely got hammered. No support at all, basically, on 3 days. 40% of the goal, so let's see if tonight can be better than that. All right. Thank you, Wild Bill Wassman. Yeah. So I'm still kind of looking for the different articles and whatnot on the other one. All right, let's take a listen to this. This is the Karmelo Anthony case, and they're talking about, I mean, Paul Morrow and this reporter here are going to be talking about it. But I'm really looking forward to hear what Morrow said.
But first, we go to Brooke Taylor live outside of that courthouse in McKinney, Texas. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Tommy. Yeah, at the center of the prosecution's case right now are these students that were under the tent. They saw the stabbing and the moments leading up to it. More than 10 of these students and teammates testified in court yesterday and today. Now, many told jurors that they thought it was unusual that Karmelo Anthony, who went to a different school, was under their team's tent. The defense said that Anthony was sheltering from the rain and recognized someone there. Students testified that Austin Metcalf repeatedly asked Anthony to leave. Several recalled Anthony responding, "Touch me and find out." Now, jurors also heard that Metcalf made the first physical contact, but witnesses described it as minor. One called it a soft touch.
Yes, I think it is going to come down to something like that, you know. Will the jury want to believe that the first touch by Metcalf rose to the level of that it's reasonable to fear for your life, given that he's so much bigger? You know, I could see somebody on the jury believing that, and or using that as an escape route from having to going down the route that the reality is.
Touch. Another described it as a little push. They testified that moments later, Anthony pulled out a 5-inch folding knife from his backpack and stabbed Metcalf in the chest. The defense argues Anthony acted out of self-defense and fear. Now, one of the key witnesses today was a 17-year-old teammate of Metcalf's who was under.
Well, you know, the reality is the physical touch is justified. So yeah, it doesn't work for Metcalf. I forgot. Yeah. So the thing is Karmelo Anthony, he said, "Make me," and then was reaching into his bag before the physical touching. And so that doesn't matter. That means he had the right to do that. In fact, had Metcalf did the same thing that Karmelo did to him, he would be justified in it, because Karmelo Anthony is the initial aggressor. He's the one who made a verbal threat, then postured by reaching into his bag, and then it would be reasonable to believe he was reaching into his bag to even said, like, "I'm not from Frisco," meaning, hey, you know, people in Frisco, they don't have weapons. It's so nice over here, but where I'm from, we do. You know, and so that's the reality of it. Hey, thanks, Wild Bill Wassman again. Hopping on alley cakes. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
For the tent, he testified that Metcalf tried to avoid a fight, telling Anthony, quote, "Dude, I'm not going to fight you at a track meet." Now, jurors also heard from an 18-year-old witness today. This is important testimony because he knew both Anthony and Metcalf, and he was the student who Anthony was apparently saying hi to.
Yeah, so that yesterday, for me, gives, you know, that's why Karmelo, well, I mean, it gives a plausible reason why he was there. You know, if you want to go, ooh, he went there just to kill somebody underneath that tent. I don't know. You know, that's the thing, is it's hard to, he has a knife in his backpack and all that, but now we know that he has a reason that he can be under that tent, and it's not illegal for him to be under the tent, and he doesn't have to leave when he's told to leave. But it seems like, you know, you're underneath your competitor's tent, somebody asks you to leave, you should just leave, but he didn't want to do that. He wanted to, it seems like he wanted to use his knife on somebody. That's exactly what it seems like to me. Like, he literally was like, you know, make me move. If you touch, you know, touch me and see what happens. Okay, punch me and see what happens. And then he got a minor shove to the shoulder, and then boom, stabs and kills. You know, it's crazy.
He testified when Austin asked him to leave, quote, "Karmelo said you'll have to move me." Austin put his hand on his back. I saw
That doesn't make any sense, Kami, what you just typed in.
Karmelo's hand.
It doesn't matter if he's, he's a track person. It's okay for him to be there.
Hand go in the backpack. We're at a track meet. I wouldn't expect anything to be in there, Karmelo said. Touch me, you'll have to move me and find out, trying to provoke him. Then what happens, the prosecutor asked. He said Austin puts his hand on him and falls back. How was Austin trying to move him, the prosecutor asked. He responded it was him trying to move him off his seat, a soft shove. The prosecutor then said, what did Austin do? The witness replied, I see the hole in his chest and blood. He starts screaming for help. Now, the state's last witness was a medical examiner. The prosecution showed 4 pictures.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Of Metcalf. His family stepped outside the courtroom so that they didn't have to see that. Meanwhile, if convicted of murder, Anthony faces up to life behind bars. Tommy.
Brooke Taylor, thank you so much. Joining us now in studio to break down the latest developments in this trial is former NYPD inspector and attorney, our favorite, Paul Morrow.
Yeah.
Paul, I could talk to you about this all day, but I'm very excited to get your take on this. They got 21 witnesses. Right. You've got these witnesses.
Who cares, Kami? It doesn't matter. He has the right to be there, and he was sitting next to a friend. That's all. Let's just sort of leave. Then you go from there. Okay, it's irrelevant what you're talking about. So he, this is one of those cases where everybody, they have this dream or a thought in their mind and they just can't get rid of it. You got to keep looking at the information, It's like that doesn't mean anything. All right? What means something is that he's sitting with a friend of his. The friend never spoke up when they said, hey, what are you doing here? Who are you? So it turns out that Karmelo just kept, provoking and then made verbal threats and then reached into his bag, and then that would have been justification for Metcalf to have actually feared that he had something more and would have had reasonable justification to kill him. It sounds crazy, but that's the truth in this case. But however, Karmelo Anthony had no right to do that.
Just heard from Brooke Taylor saying that if Austin Metcalf touched him, it was a soft shove saying, hey, get out of our tent. Then you have, of course, the stabbing that led to the death of Austin Metcalf. How do you break this down?
Yeah, I'm telling you the truth, Kami. You can believe what you want, but.
And second question, how does race play into this? Because the folks outside really want to make this about race. I'm not so sure that factors in legally, though.
No, legally, of course, race shouldn't factor into it, but let's be honest, it's going to be a factor if anybody is so inclined in the jury to listen to people that are trying to foment that attitude outside the courtroom, and if they can hear the noise. We've seen that so often here in Lower Manhattan, and to ignore it is naive. Let's review the facts as we know them, right? Not the testimony, the facts. Number one, Karmelo Anthony is in the opposing team's tent for no good reason. Number two, he's armed with a knife. All right, those are not in dispute. Those are facts. Then we get the testimony. He's there. He's asked to leave. He doesn't want to leave. He says, touch me, you'll find out. According to the testimony, then Austin Metcalf puts a hand on him, gently shoves him, and then he reacts, reaches in, pulls out this knife. Why he had a knife at a track meet is going to be a big issue, I'm sure, going forward.
Yeah, like he knew he was not supposed to have a weapon at the track meet.
As we get to the defense and then, of course, the closing arguments. The action in this is going to come down to 2 areas. Number one, under Texas law, you can't provoke an incident and then claim self-defense. That's why I went into that recounting of the facts. He's in the tent, and then he won't leave, even after being asked numerous times. Right. And he's from the opposing team, and supposedly they are strategizing how they're going to run the track meet, and so they want him out of the tent. And then the other thing is that your response, if you are threatened with force in Texas, is that your response has to be, quote unquote, reasonable. Even under the opening argument that his attorney made, which articulates the idea that Metcalf and his brother had sort of surrounded Karmelo, that doesn't, to me, rise to the level of pulling a knife and sticking it in somebody's chest. So I am hard-pressed here to see where they're going to go. They must have some really, really compelling witnesses on the defense side, because as of now, I don't see why they even went to trial.
Your friend's cousin's
Paul,
dog walker.
I find this case sad and disturbing, but also fascinating because I have, you know, if you've ever been in the state of Texas, at least until recently, I know constitutional carries that you have to fear for your life, or, you know, and there's, you know, the opportunity to, or your property. So I want to, you know, take all
Yeah, we know. Coffee Slayer. We've said all this stuff for 3 days in a row now. It's weird how people think we don't know this.
all subjectivity out of this and look at this and say, okay, if I want Karmelo Anthony to get off on this charge, if I want to put myself in his shoes and make myself believe that he was justified under this more loose stand your ground law in Texas, I don't know how you get there. How does the defense get there?
You know, to me, it's going to be a pretty steep climb. I think what you likely will have to get from them is some sort of articulation that he was in genuine fear for his life.
Exactly.
Because he had to reach for a knife that's bad enough.
And that's what they're trying to do is, you know, they're trying to focus in on how much bigger the Metcalf twins, you know, were than Karmelo Anthony, and that Austin moved towards Karmelo, and he's much bigger, and then shoved him a little bit in the shoulder. Is that reasonable to be fear? Now, I could say, okay, I could see how you might be have some fear, but is it really fear for your life? And the force that you used was absolutely not proportional to the shove. So regardless, even if it comes down to where they can prove that Metcalf is the initial aggressor, let's say that somehow they convince the jury that Metcalf is the initial aggressor by asking him to leave the tent, it's still going to be, you would still get a manslaughter conviction on the disproportional attack, you know, if that's the case, because then it won't be, he will not get murder, he will not get second-degree murder if it turns out that they prove to the jury that Metcalf is the initial aggressor. I don't see that at all, but if that is the case, he'll still get manslaughter because it would be disproportional force that killed him. And it doesn't seem like you got accurate information up there, Kami. Hey, Elena, you missed it, man. We were quoting your stuff. Hey, you missed it, Elena. So listen for a second. What was that quote that you put in there that you made it seem like it was okay to say that, oh, yeah, I believe it's a murder? You had a quote, and we looked it up after the show, and there doesn't seem like there's anywhere in Texas law that allows that. Okay, so if you can tell me where you heard that or where you got that from, that'd be great. The best hope? You mean that's not hope. That's terrible. I mean, hope for him, you mean? I'm just waiting. I want to get where Elena got her quote from, where it said that a juror can weigh in on whether or not he thinks it's murder or not. I know, Elena. We know that we heard it. See, that's what I get so frustrated with your replies. We know that they said it. Every single one of them said it. I looked it up. It's not something that you do there. It doesn't matter that it's self-defense. It doesn't say that anywhere. Okay, if you can send me the actual quote somewhere, I'll believe it. But we looked it up and it wasn't. I didn't find it. You look it up and then send it. I just think that's crazy. It was incredible to have people literally, you know, every time. So it wasn't self-defense, was it? It was murder, right? Yeah, it was murder. I mean, 2 witnesses. I mean, Jesus, that is just ridiculous. I think that's incredible. Yeah, I mean, if you can find, if it is something totally different because it's self-defense, I'll look it up. But it seems weird because It's actually, he's trying to use self-defense, the, stand my ground and all that kind of stuff. But hey, guys, we're on one of those massive lulls again, so if you guys have the ability to help support the channel, that would be great. Hey, look at that. There's Alley Cake. Let's not have it just be Alley Cake and Wild Bill Wassman again. They help out a lot all the time.
Enough, but then he stabs Austin in the heart, right in the chest. I mean, any 5-year-old knows that's likely going to be fatal. Now, there is reporting from the police report that Karmelo's response was, he's not going to die. One of the cops says to him, if he dies, your life has changed significantly, kid. And he says he's not going to die. He was actually kind of casual about it. I don't think he quite realized what he did. So maybe he's going to say, hey, look, I didn't mean to kill him. It's going to be some sort of intent issue here. But he also made other statements that I think are going to cut against him. Like, for instance, he didn't say he threatened my life. I was terrified. He said he put his hands on me. Yeah. That's all he said. That's not much of an articulation of fear.
Does that rate
Yeah, it's almost like he believed that if you just touch somebody, you get to... It doesn't make sense, Elena. It doesn't make sense at all. I don't care what you're... Even if it's in the law over there, it doesn't make sense to me that you can have lay people... If you missed the show last night where we had ChatGPT and 2 different sources, the same thing. It doesn't make any sense at all for it to have a lay person say what their opinion is, whether it's murder or self-defense. That's just absolutely incredible. Never heard anything like it. It doesn't make any sense at all. I don't care if you think it's something that makes sense to you. It just doesn't. I mean, imagine going up to a medical examiner and saying, or not a medical examiner, let's say, you get up a witness who's the street sweeper who happened to be driving by when they saw a car. And then they walked up to the steps in the Nancy Guthrie case and they see the blood spatter. And then on the stand, they go, do you think that is expirated blood? Or, what do you think that is? Yeah, I think it is, man. As a matter of fact, I think... And they start telling you what they think about it. It's totally bogus. I've never heard anything like that in my life.
Meditation? If he says, touch me and you'll see what happens?
In this, premeditation is much debated.
It doesn't make sense in a self-defense trial either, Elena. It makes no sense either way.
Like there are instances where people say it can be literally a second or two, but in this case it really doesn't matter. The way Texas law is constructed, you have capital murder, that is if you are going to be put on death row, and that has a specific set of circumstances that are not present here, killing a witness, multiple victims, killing a cop, same thing in New York.
So the burden's on the prosecution, yes, to prove that it wasn't self-defense. But you're still asking each student, was it murder? Yeah, it was murder. I mean, that is ridiculous, honestly.
But furthermore, he was 17 at the time of the crime. Even if he did qualify for the death penalty under the Supreme Court decision, he doesn't get it. So the most he's looking at is...
You keep saying that, Lisa. You keep saying that. Of course, whatever it is, it must be okay. But that's not what I'm talking about. I think it is absurd. And any reasonable-minded person would also think it's absurd that you're able to ask a witness that was there, hey, do you think this was murder or self-defense? That is incredible. And I don't care how you try to explain it or any of those kind of things.
It's 99 years.
Paul, I want to ask you about the jury selection process. There was a report last week that there were 3 black jurors who were removed by the prosecution, and the defense objected to that, claiming that it was racially motivated. However, the prosecution came back and said, no, it was because they were teachers, and at least one of them was on record apparently saying that he would have had a very difficult time voting to convict because Karmelo looked like just a kid. Give us your read on that.
Yeah, so you knew in this case, as we've seen in so many cases, that there was going to be a lot of scrutiny on the jurors, right? And in this case, you're 100% right.
I don't care if the defense can ask it too. Do you understand that? Those people are not credible witnesses to say if something is a murder or not because there's nuances and information that has to be put in order to make it a murder, okay? They don't have that information. So for them to say it, it makes it biased towards the I don't know, man. If it's weird that you can't see it. It's really shocking that people keep trying to make excuses and, like it's something okay. Sure, it might be okay in Texas, whatever. I just think that is a horrendous thing to allow witnesses to do in a case. Right. That's what Paulette's saying, that opining thing. That's what I said yesterday. Like you're sitting there opining on, hey, yeah, I think he's guilty. Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's for the jury to decide. We did. Look, let me load this sucker back up again. If you weren't here yesterday. Is that the one? Why wouldn't a defense attorney... Okay. I think, can a prosecutor ask a witness if what they saw was murder? And okay, let me do it. Let me now that we know. Let me try this again. Can a prosecutor ask a witness in Texas in a self-defense case if what they witnessed was a murder or self-defense?
In Texas, a prosecutor might be allowed to ask that question, but a defense attorney has a strong basis to object, depending on how it's phrased and who the witness is. The key distinction is between describing what the witness saw, usually admissible, and giving a legal conclusion, it was murder or it was self-defense, which is much more problematic. Texas Rule of Evidence 701 allows lay witnesses to give opinions based on their personal observations, if the opinion is helpful to the jury. Texas Rule 704 also says an opinion is not automatically inadmissible merely because it touches on an ultimate issue. Texas courts. However, there is a practical trial distinction. Better question. Based on what you observed, did it appear that the defendant was trying to protect himself? Or, what did you see that made you think he was in danger?
That's how it should
These
be.
questions focus on observations. Problematic question. Was it self-defense? Or, was it murder? Those are legal conclusions that the jury is supposed to decide. Many judges will sustain an objection because murder and self-defense are legal terms with specific statutory meanings. A lay witness usually isn't qualified to determine whether all the legal elements were met.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying right there. And I really don't give a damn what, you guys can all believe what you want to believe. I just think that is absolutely absurd in any trial of any kind. Hell, if it was for stealing a Twinkie, hey, did he steal the Twinkie? Yes, he did. Well, how do we know yet? Let's get through the, it's incredible. These jurors don't have any idea. What are you talking about, Sandy? Let's see. Yeah, I know. And they just said it was the other way. They disagreed with you, Elena. Hey, Sandy, quit sort of moderating, kind of working through and trying to do little jabs in the chat when people are making comments. Just, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't. Well, the jury might. Well, you know what it said on ChatGPT last night was, it said something like, the defense team might be doing it on purpose, allowing all these witnesses, one after the other, to keep saying the same thing. Oh yeah, it's murder. So that at the end they could say, if you notice, the prosecution, every witness they brought up told you it was murder. But you know what? That's not their decision. It's yours. Now, here are the facts that I want you to focus in on. You see, that might be what they're doing, because it almost has a feeling of rehearsed. It's just not a good look at all, you guys. I really don't care. I think the facts in the case already tell the story, but it's not a good look at all when every single one of the witnesses brought up, yes, it was murder. Well, you don't know because they don't know what the law is and what makes something a murder or not, right? Anyways, that's what I'm talking about. I just think, obviously the judge, he didn't object to it, like Lisa kept saying over and over and over again. And also the, apparently it didn't sound like it's just like you simply get to do that. When we just went over that a second ago. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I guess we agree ultimately, Elena. It's just the way you keep sort of arguing for it like it's okay and cool. I just think it's absurd, and I'm going to always say that. I think I don't give a damn who is in the court. Of course, we all want to hear, yeah, that's right, man. I agree with you. I agree. Yeah, it's murder. Yeah. We actually can determine it better than these guys that came up there because we see the law, and then here we see the information being put out there, and then how does that match up with what the law is? And then we can say, yep, it looks like it is murder. So while I agree with their take, they don't know that stuff. I guarantee you they do not know it. They're just up there, answering a question for the prosecution. And by the way, you do practice. When they're on the stand, you practice. They literally take you into a room. They have a prosecutor, and they ask you questions in a place that looks like a courtroom. And then, when the day's up, you don't feel as nervous. All right? There you go.
3 female black teachers who were the only African Americans apparently in the jury pool that made it to that point. The prosecution used their exemption right to eliminate those 3. The defense objected. The judge sided with the prosecution.
I don't want another point, Elena.
You're
I don't want another
100% right
point
to
from
focus on that. Why? Because that is almost certainly going to be an area of appeal. And, I've seen it speculated online. I don't know that they would be this.
Yeah, I agree that might end up being, it will be a point for appeal that the 3 black finalists were struck by the prosecution.
100% right. They had 3 female.
It'll be used. Whether or not it will work, it'll be great. Hey, look at that. We got a challenge from Karen saying, I will donate 10 in super chats for equal amount in stickers, chats, or memberships. Oh, there you go. So we got Wild Bill Wasson right there. Again. Man, it's crazy. It's like the same people. Yeah. See, all my point is I don't care if it's legal in Texas. I don't care if, they do it all the time, blah, 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 blah. It's absolutely absurd, and it's not normal, and it doesn't make sense, and I don't care how you try to explain it. It's not going to make sense. So we can all sit there and go, yeah, it must be okay to do. Yeah, sure. Okay, I agree. It must be okay to do it because the judge didn't say a damn thing, right? But at the same time, I don't understand it, man. I don't care that it's self-defense. That doesn't change anything. It doesn't mean anything, really. I mean, hey, thank you. I just always hate the. Yeah, I think teachers would be biased against a student or for a student. Protecting him. Let's see. I can see why they didn't want teachers on the jury. The defense struck me off the jury because I had been a bank teller and the guy had kidnapped a teller from her house to rob the bank. So they might think that you're going to picture how it would be and be a little bit more biased. Yeah, that's what they say. They were all three teachers. One of them actually had said that they couldn't be partial in this case. So, of course, you're going to remove that person, right? Hey, thanks, Karen. All right, Elena, what's your last, your next point, okay? We won't, it's okay. Just type it in, okay? Maybe we need to do okay, you know what we're going to do? I know this is stupid, but I'm going to do the Rule 704. Let's just see what it says. Oh, 701. What did you say? Yeah, Texas Rule 704. Explain Texas, or, break down Texas Rule 704.
Texas Rule of Evidence 704, Opinion on an ultimate issue. The rule itself is very short. An opinion is not objectionable just because it embraces an ultimate issue. Texas Rules of Evidence. What does that mean? Traditionally, courts were reluctant to let witnesses give opinions that answered the very question the jury must decide.
Wow.
Rule 704 changed that. A witness may give an opinion that touches on the ultimate issue in the case if the opinion is otherwise admissible under Rules 701 or 702. Texas Rules of Evidence. What is allowed? Example 1. Self-defense. A witness testifies. Based on what I saw, I believed he was about to be attacked. That opinion goes directly to a self-defense issue and may be admissible. Example 2. Accident reconstruction expert. An expert says, the defendant's vehicle crossed the center line. That opinion goes directly to a central issue in the case. Example 3. Use of force expert. An expert says, the force used was consistent with accepted police training.
That's different.
Again, this may embrace an ultimate issue. What is not allowed? Rule 704 does not give witnesses permission to tell the jury what legal conclusion to reach. Witnesses generally cannot testify. The defendant committed murder. The shooting was legally self-defense.
Okay, that is exactly what I'm saying. You see that? That's what I'm saying right there. You get it? I mean, literally right there. It said. So the part above, I get that part. You're agreeing with elements that are part of the ultimate issue. However, this one's saying you cannot. Hey, the defendant committed murder. The shooting was legally self-defense. The defendant is guilty. The defendant acted reasonably under Texas. You can't say those things. That's up to the jury to decide. So anyways, I think that's pretty funny, right? All right, anyways, that's about it for that.
Process. There was a report last week that there were 3 black jurors who were removed by the
Karen,
prosecution.
and everybody up there.
And the defense objected to that, claiming that it was racially motivated. However, the prosecution came back and said no, it was because they were teachers. And at least one of them was on record apparently saying that he would have had a very difficult time voting to convict because Karmelo looked like just a kid. Give us your read on that.
You already got that part.
You knew in this case, as we've seen in so
Why do I want to keep playing it when it just said exactly what I was telling you?
many cases that there was going to be a lot of scrutiny on the jurors, right? And in this case, you're 100% right. They had 3 female black teachers who were the only African Americans apparently in the jury pool that made it to that point. The prosecution used their exemption right to eliminate those 3. The defense objected. The judge sided with the prosecution. But you're 100% right to focus on that. Why? Because that is almost certainly going to be an area of appeal. And, I've seen it speculated online.
Yeah, well, I guess I could have kept playing it because the next sentence is exactly what literally the wording. Let's see, hold on. Let me just go down to this part.
Applying it to your earlier question, if a prosecutor asks a lay witness, was what you saw murder? And the witness answers, yes, it was murder. That is a strong objection candidate because murder is a legal conclusion, not merely an observation.
That's it.
The witness should generally testify to facts, He shot him. The victim was walking away. I never saw the victim threaten him. The victim had his hands up. The jury then decides whether those facts amount to murder, manslaughter, justified self-defense, etc.
Okay. Why might a defense attorney not object? Several possibilities. The attorney missed it. The attorney did not want to highlight the testimony. The attorney planned to attack the witness on cross. You're not a lawyer, correct? You don't know the legal definition of murder. You weren't instructed on Texas self-defense law. They didn't do that, though. The judge had already indicated the objection would be overruled. Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's what he did. Rule 704 lets a witness give an opinion that touches the main issue. Touches it. This is a conclusion. So this, ChatGPT, at least in this instance, is not agreeing that you can say it's murder, just like that. Okay, it's not agreeing with that.
I don't know that they would be this cute by half because you're playing with a young man's life here. But I've seen speculation where people have said things like, did the defense game that out, knowing that they would like, because what the prosecution used to get rid of those three was not, well, they're black, you can't do that, you can't do it on the basis of race. They did it saying they're teachers, and this was a student, and for the reasons that you said, they'd have a hard time being objective. That carried the day. So is it possible that they're actually playing for that appeal? I'd be very surprised. I think that, as I said, that's too cute by half. But nonetheless, that is going to be an issue. The jury selection in this thing, of course, was crucial. I don't know the rest of the composition of the jury, but I do know that there are no other African Americans.
Paul, I keep going back to the why question in terms of why would somebody bring a knife to a track meet in broad daylight?
You,
it reminds me of a certain parallel to a certain extent. Alex Preddy up in Minneapolis, where why would you bring a gun to an ice staging area when you provoked ice in the past and expect that something bad could not happen? So will that be coming into play as well in terms of why, not premeditated so much, but why have a knife on you in the first place where you're not going out at night somewhere in a dangerous area?
Yeah, that's what I was saying the other day, Lucy Jones. I don't understand this whole thing. Like, why? Let me ask you something. Why does there need to be for why can't there be 12 black people on a jury when it's a white person, a case with white people, and why can't there be 12 white people on a case when there's a black person or a white person? What difference does it make? When you're on a jury, you're supposed to take the facts of the case. So what you're implying is that there is going to be bias. And if you go watch the officer, I think it's Tatum, that guy, he played these interviews. And, he was interviewing, this reporter was interviewing black people that are protesting around there. And they said, what if it turns out that it's proven that Karmelo was the aggressor and that, Austin didn't do anything, et cetera? And they go, well, I would still defend him because he's one of ours. We're going to have to, you guys defend your guys and we're going to defend ours. And it's like, see, that's a huge problem. Okay. It's a huge problem. If you can't be, somebody who mentions something like that should be banned from ever being on a jury for the rest of their life. Just saying that sentence right there. I'm going to protect one of mine. That means you're a racist and you are somebody that should not be ever on a jury. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
You're in Frisco, Texas, which is a very affluent town, one of the fastest growing cities in the country. Yep. The why keeps coming back to me.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's going to go to the idea that, first of all, he was in violation of the school rules themselves. The school apparently has a very strict rule about bringing any weapons onto school grounds. So he did that at the opposing school, and then he brings that weapon into the tent. And I think that's going to go very strongly when the prosecutor buttons up his argument at closing.
Yeah, look, in this case, race has nothing to do with it. If it did somehow, then it's going to be on Karmelo Anthony's side. Okay? That means he was looking to do something. But I don't even think that. I just think he was like angry he was asked to leave and angry, and he has a knife and he's ready to use it, because he brought it over there for a reason, and he was being provocative, and I think he intentionally provoked a physical contact so that he would feel justified, or he believed it would make him look justified using that knife. That's what I think. It doesn't. Other than that, it doesn't make any sense.
That, look, he has this knife on him. He's not supposed to have it. He goes across to the opposing team's tent, sits himself down, and won't leave even after multiple witnesses have now said he was told to leave. So
yeah, but I think it is important, though, that what he's leaving out, Morrow here, is that he was sitting there talking to a friend of his. His girlfriend is family friends with the guy under the tent. So that does matter as a factual element of the case. And so when people leave stuff like that out, it's bothersome. It explains why it was there. Originally, we didn't know that. We thought maybe he just went under the tent. We heard rumors that there was somebody that he knew. And we thought he just went over there. That would be way more provocative, right? That he just walked over, sat under competitor's tent and had no rhyme or reason to be there and wouldn't leave when asked. That'd be a lot worse. Okay? But it's still... So now it's a case where there is somebody there that he fist bumped with and then sat down next to him. Now, somebody was criticizing me because I criticized the friend who didn't speak up. I think it is really sad that the person that Karmelo Anthony knew didn't say, "Oh yeah, he's here with me. He sat down next to me and talked to me." That would have absolutely calmed the situation down. They may have still said, "Well, he's on the other team, so we need him out of here anyways." But at least there would have been an attempt like that. But it would have made them more comfortable with why he was there in the first place. And it may have de-escalated it dramatically. But he probably didn't want to upset the captain or whatever the hell it was. And he didn't say anything. So the fact that guy didn't speak up, that's a bad it's a bad thing, man. I think that's what led. Had a huge part in having it continue on to a bigger deal. Well, they're only 17, Gray. How are these? What do you mean? They're people. Just speak up when you know the reality. Okay? There's people that just don't do that. It sucks. They are the worst of the worst. When people, let's say you're at a bar and you see somebody steal a wallet from somebody. And they go, who took it? Who took it? And you stay quiet. You're an idiot. You're a loser at that point. Okay? And you saw who took it, or you saw that it wasn't your friend who was accused of stealing it, and you stay quiet because you don't want to get involved. Okay? Well, you're a loser. Hey, thanks, Karen. Appreciate it. That's not cool, Gray. I remember this one time when Okay, well, you go. Keep doing your one time. Yeah, well, he should have, though, because he knew him. He was sitting right next to him. He didn't want to because he didn't want to upset the leaders under the tent. He should have said something. Don't say he didn't want to vouch for him. That's ridiculous. Okay. Thanks, Karen. He didn't want to vouch for him. He was his friend. They actually showed pictures that in the prior week they were 3 times they were hanging out and took pictures together. I mean, that's somebody that should probably say something. Don't you agree? I don't, Gray.
So, as I was saying here to Joey, the idea here that they're going to somehow or other conjure some circumstances where the stabbing to the chest under those circumstances is going to be somehow considered reasonable really feels like a steep climb to me. They must really have something loaded up. But you know what? There's a larger why.
Yeah, I mean, the whole defense hasn't even, they just had a little bit on Saturday. So I guess we're going to have to see what the hell they bring up. Because they're going to spend their entire time, trying to boost up the strength of the shove. The fact that Austin moved towards him, he's much bigger, and they're going to try to get Carmelo Anthony out of the initial aggressor position. They're going to try to really focus on who said what first. Okay, now look at, the way he asked him to get out of the tent, that was way more aggressive than it should have been. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to try to push all these angles to make it cloudy of who was the initial aggressor. Do you get it? That's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to make it really sort of murky. Yeah, I mean, by saying, hey, get out from under the tent. Isn't that aggressive just in itself, saying that? I mean, I guess what you could say was, here's the strict law is this. They could say, hey, get out from under the tent. They could even said, get out from under the tent or we'll remove you. You could even say that. And as long as if you're just standing still and you're not doing anything with your body to make it look like you're about to do something, then you're still not the initial aggressor, because you can say that. That doesn't put you in there. It has to be combined with a physical motion like you're about to do something. So then Carmelo then responds with, touch me and see what finds out. If they can somehow prove that there was other things said by Austin, touch me and find out. And then him reaching into his bag following that makes him the initial aggressor, because it was his statement plus the physical action of reaching into the backpack. You see? Awesome. All right, guys, if you guys could help support the channel, that would be great. Maybe we can get some other people to help support the channel. We just have 4 different people. There's 165 people watching. I would imagine that there's other people out there that have the ability. And what we try to do on my channel is donate thousands at the end of each month out of the income, ad revenue, the super chats, channel memberships, all that stuff generates income, and that allows us to also donate thousands while at the same time supporting my channel, allowing me to continue to do the show. So if you can purchase some channel memberships for other people, that would be great. Super chats, etc.
And that's the part that I think that Joey was talking about the whole thing being said, too. This kid, Carmelo, had never been in trouble. Mm-hmm. He was a good student. Apparently, he had, worked out, so, he was a winner. And, why take the knife? Why go look in? Because from where I sit, the whole thing was pointless. It does feel like a provocation. It's the last thing this kid needed as he's ending his school years and going on.
So Carmelo's character matters here, then?
It feels that way.
Sure. Okay.
Maybe
Yeah, but I mean, the prosecution is rested. But can the prosecution come back up again and do a rebuttal in this case? After the defense? I think they can, right? I don't think there's a rebuttal or, then after that, and then the defense can say something. But I guess, because it's the prosecution's burden. I mean, it always is, actually. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't know, my channel has donated $297,000 since January of 2020. Something not mentioned by the trolls out there. They never seem to mention that. They almost embarrassed to admit it, so they always just trash the channel and myself instead of just realizing, wow, look at the difference they've made. Yeah. Great, that's not cool, man. No, they can cross-examine. Yeah, they can cross-examine. I'm saying, can they put on another case? You know, like, not another case, but like you see it often where the prosecution then can rebut what the defense said and have another, bring up witnesses again and that kind of thing. You know, so like it's not just cross-examining. I'm talking about, it's called a rebuttal. You see it all the time. I don't know if that's going to be allowed in this case, but because you can actually, when the prosecution has witnesses that say certain things, you can bring up other witnesses specifically to rebut what was said by the defense, because it's they have to prove. Thanks, Wild Bill Wassman, again. So far we've had 4 different people support the channel tonight. I think that's odd, you know.
At least in maybe sentencing. All right.
Be sure to like and subscribe.
Okay, Bill. All right. Well, that's really. I just wanted to go over that, and he seems like he's kind of on the same page we are, etc. All right, guys, I'll have to say it again. If you're out there, if you could please help support the channel, that would be great. Thank you. We need a challenge of some sort tonight. Gifted memberships, that would work. But we need a challenge. We have 0 challenges, and we're right now at 1/4 of the nightly goal. And we're already an hour in, so only a third in. Yeah. It seems open and shut, but the defense is going to spend the next, 4 days, apparently, rebutting. I mean, you know, putting on their case, I guess. I guess it's weird, is their case is more like trying to prove that it was self-defense, I guess. That's what they're doing. Well, look at that. We got Karen again saying she'll do 10. If we can get equivalent of 10 in Super Chat, she'll match it. All right. So let's just move over. Let's do some Nancy Guthrie stuff. I haven't done that for a while. All right. Do you guys mind? You know, it's weird. Look at all these green pins down here. That's one of the people that, you know, the Zach guy. That's all these places where he had associations with. But he's never been up. He doesn't have anything up here. Okay. And it was all different years, like 2017 and stuff. So I don't know. I think he wasn't even around, in my opinion. But I guess we'll, you know, maybe someday we'll find out. Forget that's only $1, Karen. Don't worry about the jewels thing. Thanks for the jewels, but that's not part of it. So we need $10 of matching. We got a challenge in here, you guys. That one? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and look, it's got to be Wild Bill Wassman again, because we couldn't get other people. I don't know, that's crazy. Jeez. What happened to all the old freaks, you know? All right. Thanks, Wild Bill. And there's Alley Cake again. Thanks, Alley Cake. You guys are kind. I mean, if you took away Wild Bill and Alley Cake, we'd have like $8 or 10. Yeah, Karen's got in there, but Here, I'll do these in order, like when I loaded these suckers up. All right, here we go. Here's the Nancy Guthrie. Just stuff that's been said out there. Let's just see what people are saying. It's been 4 months since Nancy Guthrie disappeared. This is News Nation from her Arizona home, and investigators are still pouring through tips in hopes of cracking the case. Authorities believe the 84-year-old mother of TV anchor Savannah Guthrie was abducted from her home in the early morning hours of February 1st, 2026. Retired Detective John Bueller told News Nation Brian Enton the suspect's name could be buried in the thousands of tips investigators received. He noted a case in 1999 where 4 women killed in Yosemite by Carrie Stainer, who sent investigators a hand-drawn map to where he left one victim. Investigators missed the clue for several days because it was buried in a stack of mail. That sounds about right for these guys, you know. Thanks, Karen. When tips come in on a case like Nancy Guthrie's, they prioritize as best as they can, but you still don't know for sure if they prioritize correctly, and so there might be something in there that we're waiting on. Now, tomorrow we'll get back on, there'll be a whole new day of trial to go over the notes from in the Karmelo Anthony case. I think it's an interesting case because it's a chess match to see how you might be able to get your client or, the victim into the non-initial aggressor position. All right, there you go. All right, we're currently at 1/3 of the nightly goal now. Let's see. He noted a case in 1999 where, we just went through that. When tips come in on a case like Nancy Guthrie, they prioritize as best they can, but you still don't know for sure if they prioritize correctly. And so there might be something in there that we're waiting on that could break it wide open, Bueller said. It also is possible that answers may not come in for a long time if people with information are afraid to come forward. Yeah, well, thanks, Wild Bill. We had a random murder that went 11 years unsolved, and it was only because of the one person that could give us the information was afraid to come forward, and it took 11 years for them to get over that fear. Nancy Guthrie kidnapping, work of one suspect, retired detective. He said he believes just one person is behind the crime. That's what at least I think that. I know other people do too. The only possibility I see of being a second person is if that is a walkie-talkie, and then that person was merely the driver of the vehicle, and they pulled it up in front of Nancy Guthrie's house at a precise time, and that's why he removed the camera from the front porch, because he knew that the car was going to be pulling up there a little bit later. But because that reward thing, that really sticks with me. That's some pretty expensive loyalty to have for somebody else, Bueller said. People that have independent wealth are not doing crimes like this. However, Bueller said he fears Nancy Guthrie is no longer alive based on bleeding at the scene and her poor health, along with the fact that multiple ransom letters did not lead to her return. We've known that the whole time. You're not sleuthing anything. We have said this, that she's very likely not alive at this point because there was no proof of life in the 2 ransom letters. Now, the reason I'm fearful she didn't survive the abduction is kind of twofold. Number one, no instant. Isn't it suck? It's, you know what sucks is, like, you know, on channels like mine, like, we think through things logically and reasonably and come up with conclusions that absolutely make sense. But these news stations have to go out and find a detective to say the same thing that we're saying for months to give it some credibility of some sort. It's just wild. But the amount of blood that was present there in the front of the house suggests to me a wound that was bleeding a lot. I think it looks more like a kind of a bloody nose situation. Not arterial, but bleeding a lot. And with poor health and age on a pacemaker, in fear, and him trying to get her to comply, that's why I just don't think she survived it. Right, well, we've said that exact same thing. That, you know, the stress of it, her being on a pacemaker, etc. I mean, it's almost, I don't know, sometimes I feel like they watched, oh, okay, that's a good point to say. They won't know that I'm saying exactly what they said. One aspect Bueller thinks could crack the case is tracking cars. Wow, who said that too? I've said, like, since the beginning that they probably have the light of a car driving by at certain points, and then they'll track it over to here, and then you keep trying to track, even if it's just the light of a vehicle on surveillance camera. But apparently, you know, we've shown, look at this, all the purple in this area here are actual cameras, right? And Nancy Guthrie lived right here. And there's even a camera on the house next to her right here. So you would think one of these might pick her up. However, interestingly, while we were doing this, see this blue pin over here? That is the most likely, I put those as likely exit points to get onto a main street. So see this pin over here? See how you're at Nancy's home over here, and you could drive like this, and then you just come down and boom, you're right on a main street. This one over here is simple too. Take a right outside of Nancy's home, drive this way, take a right, and then go out here. I think this one's less likely because you have to take a right, and then a right, and then, you know, left. This one, you just go to the key in the road. That could just be your memory point. Take a right, boom, you're on the main road, and then you head out. Now, when you go this way, there's a camera here. So he must not have exited right there, or he did, and they're still trying to track that vehicle. But if you went this direction, I mean, it's interesting, too, because you come down here, and if you make it to there, there's a camera on that house. Then there's two cameras right there, and then there's a camera here. So he must not have gone on this street over here. In fact, law enforcement literally, remember that one shot when the car drove by this house right here? They said that it wasn't, that's not her, it's not the vehicle, and they knew because they've tracked sort of the direction the car went originally, so they knew that that wasn't it. So this is all lining up here. That means the car, in my opinion, it means it's very likely. It's, I mean, you know, obviously it's possible they came out here, turned right, and then worked their way up through here. But look at, even when they made it to there, boom, another camera. So I think that they never, you know, this area over here you can almost rule out. So, and then we have this other blue pin that I put here because that one is sort of a likely thing. You drive like this, come around, and then boom, you get to that double road situation, and then that takes you out to the main road. And these ones are way too complicated compared to this one, so I chose that one, and believe it or not, that turns out to be part of the same exact map that Annie put out there. I didn't even know that. But look at, her map goes like this. Boom, to here. And then, you know what's amazing? Her map goes to there and then turns left. Guess what that does? It avoids the camera that's right there. Then it goes here and then down. There's no cameras. Maybe some of these homes have one. And then boom, look at, there's a camera there, but it doesn't go that direction. it goes up this direction, right? Isn't that crazy? Then it turns left onto this street, goes all the way across, all the way over here, turns right, goes up, and then that's kind of where she had it ending over there. I don't know exactly what her map was, but don't you find it interesting that it's avoiding all the cameras in there? And it made it all the way to here, and now you're past the cameras. You're out of there. That's literally the only spot. Look how weird that looks. Like, squint your eyes. See the red? Like, there just happens to not be a camera there. So there's this little sort of corridor right through there that makes it out of the net of cameras. Hey, thanks, Lynn. MB. My screen just went. And then step now. Or stop now or something. Hey, thanks, Lori Bach. Shake my head. Let's go surfing now, everybody. Learning now. Let's go on a safari with me. Is that how it goes? I can't remember now. But look at it. Don't you guys look at it? Are you guys seeing what I'm saying? Other than the thing being on the screen? Look, this red Annie drawing. I'm almost wondering if she got that from law enforcement. Because look how it makes it out. They're just camera. Oh man, there's no camera right there. See, when you go to this intersection here, I don't believe that these have. Maybe I never made it to that point. So that one is a camera. Let me put one there and see how that works into there. But that's below it though. So let me put a camera there. See, it makes it more interesting the more cameras that you get. You know, because it's like, how did the person get out of there? And I think that might be why law enforcement keeps looking around in the same area. All right. Ah, shoot. Do that. Oh, yeah, I made it in there. Good. Let me move that up to the camera section. There we go. Yeah, look at that. See, that one avoids it again. That's just wild. Man, look at that. And then how about this intersection? Is there one there? And yeah, that one has one too. So we're going to go ahead and put one in there. Has a whole on all cameras too. All right. That's unbelievable. Look at that. I mean, just this little, it goes right through all that without making it out to any road that has a camera on it. Man, that's I think that is really interesting. Now, he was talking about, you know, funding and stuff like that. Nanos. I remember that. Thanks, Wild Bill Wassman and Lori Bach. Shake my head. Now, what are you saying about AI up there? What can AI help with the investigation? I don't know. I don't think it really can. I mean, I think it could if you had the information to feed into it and, you know, like law enforcement has. I think this is interesting, though. Yeah. I mean, where did the vehicle go? I'm sure that it picked up lights at some point. But again, like there's a lot of people, we sort of forget after a while what it looks like there. So you go down the street view here, and this is a nightmare. This is a nightmare for law enforcement to be able to try to figure out anything. Look, this is what it looks like. The road is below the homes. The homes are behind bushes. You don't even know that your neighbor's right there. And even though you go up in the air, and look at that, everybody's right around each other, etc. But they're all private. Now, so you rarely have a situation where there's a camera that is filming the road. And people don't buy surveillance cameras to film the road. That's usually just sort of a lucky byproduct of having a camera. Like, let's say you're filming your carport, right? And then, okay, there's a street in the background. And then, okay, you can see a vehicle driving by. People aren't setting their cameras up for that. So like, for example, this house right here had a camera on it. And let's say the camera was facing right down here towards their driveway. Well, what it would look like on the surveillance footage is like this. Okay? God, I'm good at this shit. And the car drives by. You see it for a second. Behind the trees. And that's all you get. That's all you get. It drives right behind the tree there. And you're not going to... You'll see it. You might not be able to make out what it is, but you see the light. And I'll tell you what. If this camera is filming in that direction, then that camera has a possibility for them to determine that it either didn't drive by there or did. And if it did, then they have a direction they're going, and they have a direction to go. Their camera, I think, is right there. They have a direction to go even if it doesn't show up on there, because then they know the vehicle went this way right away. Okay? I actually think it did go by there. I bet you this camera on this house maybe picked up lights or something, Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Michelle. And thanks, Alley Cake. All right. Anyways, I got to go use the restroom. I won't be resting, though. I'll see you in a minute. Thank God I'm taking a bathroom break. What the hell is that supposed to... What the hell is that? Was it that bad? Yes, it was great. All right. There we go. Thanks, Karen. All right, we're about 40% now of the goal. All right, let's throw this in here. Could tracking cars. Okay, one aspect Bueller thinks could crack the case is tracking cars that were near the house, or finding out who searched for Guthrie's address, noting that newer cars have tracking capabilities. If somebody ever plugged her address into a Google search for a Google Maps or whatever, that's a good one there. I mean, Google knows if somebody typed in Nancy Guthrie's address on Google, and then maybe you can get the IP address of where it came from. But I think this person is local, and they just knew where she was. We figured out where she lived, and then they just went there that night. Because there's nothing to search for. She's gone. She's not in the area. Remember when they flew around with the Bluetooth thing in the area? See, that was interesting to me because it meant that they hadn't determined that Nancy Guthrie left the area. They couldn't figure out how, they couldn't find it on maps cameras or whatever, that she was leaving. They know, so they flew around with that Bluetooth detection. And then they say, if somebody typed it in, her address, and then they would say, hey, why did you type in that address? People with legitimate reasons, such as delivery drivers, could be eliminated or targeted, he said, noting that Guthrie was a low-risk victim aside from her daughter's fame. That, he said, could have been a motivator for someone who had contact with her and realized that Guthrie's daughter could afford to pay ransom. Any tradespeople that maybe were doing plumbing repair or electrical repair, anybody who was delivering furniture, anything that came up where somebody could see her as a source of ransom because of the connection with Savannah and Savannah notoriety, Bueller said. It's almost like he watched that segment that we did the other day. And not just a segment, a whole series of shows on the exact same stuff. All right, here's the next one. Oh, okay, we got to talk about, I don't know. Oh, here it is. FBI director gives update on Nancy Guthrie's case, doubles down. That one's not really that interesting. He just double downs on the claim that, Nanos kept them out at the beginning. Yes, it's just not really interesting. I find that element to be the least interesting of anything in the case. It's like, who cares? All right, let's do this one. This grim theory. Let's see what the theory is in Hello Magazine. They usually just take something somebody else said somewhere else. Nancy Guthrie disappearance has taken a heartbreaking new turn after a former detective shared his interpretation of evidence found at the scene of the 84-year-old suspected abduction. She's been missing since February 1st. Yep. Despite an extensive investigation, thousands of public tips, and months of searching, investigators have yet to identify a suspect or determine what happened to the beloved grandmother. Now, former detective John Bueller has revealed, isn't that the same one? Why he fears. So that's the same thing. Speaking to News Nation, blah, 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 blah. Okay, forget it. All right, let's move on to the next one. Savannah Guthrie shares emotional message about mom's Nancy's disappearance in new. So she made a post that said, oh my soul, it cries out, soul, it cries out. Bring her home. Authorities said alleged ransom notes sent to local media outlets further support their belief that Nancy 84 was taken against her will. So I think they really believe. What do you guys think? Don't you think that law enforcement absolutely believes that those first two ransom notes are legit? I do. I think that they think that they were legit, and those people just could not prove proof of life because Nancy was already dead. And that's what led to the statements by Savannah, where she literally said, we understand now. Basically, this is what she said. We understand now that our mother is not alive. We want to know where her body is so that we can have peace. And that's the only way that we'll have peace is with her body back so we can celebrate her life. And we are willing to pay you money for that peace, right? So that's why she said that. And I think they probably told her, hey, it's not looking good. Looks like she's not going to be alive because they haven't been able to prove that she was alive. And what I think makes this case hard to solve now is because these people are already kind of prepared, perhaps, I'm just throwing out a thought, that they were prepared to, to not be discovered anyways, using crypto and all this kind of stuff. But as soon as when she died, they probably tried to see if they could get something, and then they went, you know what? Every time we send them something, they're trying to figure out who we are. So let's just cut our ties now. They probably put her somewhere, maybe out in the desert, and that's it. I mean, they're not going to just... And then these other people started communicating, just trying to capitalize on it. But those two were legit. All right, guys, we're hitting one of those massive lulls again. So if you guys have the ability, help support the channel. We are currently only at about 40% of the nightly goal. We have had almost no, the normal size challenges. Like 2 of those would get us, on the, a runway to landing. Almost. It still wouldn't get there, but. I think every day they get closer, Nano says. That's such a... it's almost like a brilliant comment, I think every day they get closer to solving the case. Isn't that true, no matter what? As we've said before. Isn't that true no matter what? Because let's say the case is solved 2 months from now. Every single day that goes by is closer to that day. Right? So every single day they get closer. It's just such a simple thing to say, and it's accurate. And that's what he could say. Yeah, of course it's... I know, that's what he's saying, though. I think every day the detectives get closer. There's way too much work to be done that is ongoing with some of the physical evidence we have, the sheriff added, presumably referencing the mixed DNA found on the property that is still being tested in hopes of identifying a suspect. That's pretty wild. If they're when they say testing, what are you saying there? Or do they have the profile? They're just struggling with the IgG portion of it. And so what that would tell me is that the victim is perhaps, not Caucasian because, Caucasian people, it's a lot easier for IgG people to solve because there's way more people that are Caucasian that are in the ancestry databases and also have downloaded the raw data to Family Tree DNA or GEDmatch, etc. That's just the reality of it. So it's really hard sometimes to do IgG with African Americans or Hispanic people because they're not represented as much in the databases. And so I've often said, because prisons have just a huge range of all kinds of, racial makeups. And I think that, since they're already collecting DNA for CODIS currently, I think they should be collecting the same DNA and have a deal with Ancestry or, somebody, like Ancestry. So at the same time, you have them spit into a vial, and then they send it off to Ancestry, and for $50 maybe a pop, a raw data file is created on Ancestry.com that then law enforcement uploads to GEDmatch and populates GEDmatch with millions of criminals in there. And then those people will absolutely dramatically help in all kinds of ways in identifying criminals in the future. Because I don't see any reason why, if you're already collecting DNA to go into CODIS, that you can't put it into GEDmatch and have it searchable on Ancestry, like on GEDmatch. Are you not paying attention, Space Cadet? Your brain just, your name fits you perfectly. Okay. Wow. Jesus. Unbelievable. Anyways, just one day prior, the Today co-host and her sibling, Annie and Cameron, along with their spouse, shared a statement thanking the people of Tucson for their support amid the search for their mother. Okay, we are deeply grateful for the outpouring. Hey, Space Cadet, I was absolutely clear. I said if they've got that means you just popped in and weren't paying attention, right? Because what I said was they've collected DNA, they have a profile, perhaps, and they're struggling identifying it using GEDmatch. And it's a lot harder to identify Caucasian people. Everybody knows who Nancy Guthrie is. She doesn't need to be identified. It's a lot easier to identify Caucasian people, is what I'm saying. Anyways, I said it clearly, and obviously it made sense, and I don't know how you got to where you got. Ah, jeez. Okay. I don't remember saying that. If I said that, then that's an error. I meant the perpetrator. If the perpetrator's DNA is in, if that's what they've got right now, because they keep saying that they're working on it still, well, that means maybe they're having a problem doing the IgG work on it. You get what I'm saying? Okay, no problem. Okay, it looks like everybody's dying down in here, though. Man, we're not even close to the goal, and we're just dead as a doornail. So if you guys are out there, if you could please help support the channel, that'd be great. It'd be nice to even get to 50% again. We just struggle. You can always tell when you've only got like 4 comments in 10 minutes. That's when the show needs to end. Is that what we're doing right now, you guys? Hello? God dang, it's just so ridiculous. Thanks, Wild Bill again. Yeah, I mean, are you participating in the show, or am I just here to ramble on with nothing from you guys? All right, because I need to have you guys following along, commenting, having thoughts. Maybe we can then talk about those. Hey, thanks. And by the way, when you send in a super chat, put a comment in there so we can talk about it. That's what they're for, actually. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, anyways, let's just go, let's just look at this. I mean, just squint your eyes and look where let me get rid of that off the screen. Look where all the purple cameras are. You see that? You can see them, except my picture's on the screen again. Oh yeah, it's over here. All right, see that? And then it's here, and then all of these, and over here. Law enforcement already has kind of told us that the car did not come over here. It did not make its way over here. So none of this is worth anything. So it's going to be over here. And then you sort of dramatically reduce cameras at that point, because there's a bunch of them right over here. Yeah, it's weird. You could almost take like draw something in here like this. That's not what I was going to do. This one. No, not that one. This one. Okay, so you can go right here. Yeah, maybe more like there. Like, that's all not part of it at this point. See, that's gone. That has nothing to do with anything. And her house is right there. Because they determined that the vehicle didn't go over there. That's why they ruled that one car out quick. So then you see this and you go, how did the car get out of there without being seen on multiple cameras? And that's why it's so interesting, that map that Annie put out there. Remember? Do you remember how Annie put out that map? Look, it's crazy, and I thought it was so cool that it landed on that one little blue pin that I picked. Look at how I went like this. Right here, I said, nope, not that one. Didn't go out there. Nope, not that one. Yes, this one could be a good one. Nope, nope, nope. And boom, Annie's little map comes out right on the blue, and then it comes over here, and I didn't keep doing that. I just said out of the immediate area to a main street, which ones, and it's these 4 blue pins that had the most likely exit point. Okay, and then this is the one on her map. Does anybody even know what her map, like, what was that all about? Thank you, Whaley Awesome again. Appreciate it. Richard Watts, thank you. We are just about 50% just now. But I don't know. Here's the thing: is if Annie put this out there, she must have been told. Or like, hey, these are where there's cameras, and she saw that and goes, okay, maybe they went like this. Because it's so weird, right? That she has this perfect route that goes right through the area, avoiding all of the cameras. So, man, I wish we'd actually, I mean, I don't know if a lot of people are understanding what I'm trying to say here. It's just really, it's interesting. Because almost every other road leads to a main road. This person, I think, was absolutely aware of where all the cameras were and made sure to avoid them, and was very familiar with the area and had been there had lived there for a long time and feels at ease driving around, and they knew how to get through this area and avoid cameras. Because if they haven't been able to track that car much, that means it avoided all of them. And that might be why they started searching around with the Bluetooth sniffer right in the area. Because they couldn't really figure out, like, where the hell she went. And that sucks that, like, 6 days in, they're using the Bluetooth sniffer in the area. Because that means even then, their surveillance didn't take it out of the area. Like, Jesus. Okay, so how are you guys doing this? And so look at Annie's map here, avoids cameras. Now, is there a camera on one of these streets, I mean, the thing is, watch. So even right here, you go, okay, shit, one of these might have one. Watch what this looks like. You're coming down here, and let's say you got a car. See, what I keep trying to tell people is I think that they have surveillance, and it's only going to work on the cameras that are 24-hour cameras, because the motion activated ones probably almost never had motion activated because of how this is situated. See, there's probably a camera up here somewhere, and it's not going to film this. It's just not going to work. And then look, it drove by that house. That one might have a camera, you know, over there by the front door, because that's all they care about. They're not going to film the street. And then look, you come down here, there's a house right here on the left. That's probably the same one before. But look, it's not filming the street. And then, my God, that has nothing. But if you go up in the air, you look at it, you go, oh, shit, man, one of these is going to film something. Well, no, it doesn't. I mean, that's the thing. It's a nightmare. And so here's another area, you know, way up there. That's not going to film anything. Now, if it's a 24 camera, it might have filmed a light go by, and they could see that. See, what they're really going to have to do is at like, I think, 2:28 in the morning to like 2:35, any motion at all, a light or anything that shows up on a camera within a quarter mile of that house, you're going to have to assume that that is related. And then you know what direction it was going on there. Then you find another camera somewhere else that, you know, if it picked up something, could potentially be that same vehicle. And then you keep working that and trying to get to a place. Okay, look, it's coming out right here. Boom. We can see the make and model of it. You know, even if it's far away, that's about the only way to do it. Again, so we're walking over here, nothing there. Come around the corner. And now that does have now this one is interesting if there's a camera there, because that one, as it's turning here, may have picked up a light. Let's go look over there and see if there's something. That's a decent one. Yeah, it looks like right above that garage. I don't know if those are lights, or I would assume one of those might be a camera. But again, they're just probably filming right down below in case somebody breaks in, or, you know, you would think they might film right by this, right there. And if that's the case, it may have picked up a car at like 2:30, turning right here, you know. I mean, that's just the reality. But look at this. I mean, almost none of these are going to pick up anything. That one over there is sort of open, but the vehicle starts turning here in a minute. Let's see what happens when it goes up here. See, again, look, you're over here and you're thinking, okay, oh crap, and then there's these trees right in front of it again. And then even if it makes it right here, you're just sort of seeing a blur in the darkness. All right, who's going to do a challenge for me in here tonight? All right, go into there, and then that house may pick up something, but you see how it's still really far away, and this is a nightmare for cops. If this was just in a regular, you know, little boxes neighborhood, man, they'd have like the make and model, exactly where it went. But I think this person knew exactly what they were doing. See, we're actually taking Annie's map route right here. You want me to just do the whole thing and see what, you know? So you're in this area. Now these might be promising, some of these, but let's see, get to here, and you know, maybe that could be a camera right there. But it looks like it's just kind of filming to here. And look how far away this is. And if it's motion activated, it might not even have picked up the motion. So hey guys, let's see if we can get, let's try to get to the goal tonight, for God's sakes. We're only at half again. Just after we made some progress yesterday. Yes, that's the problem when you're pumping out too many babies, 6 Kids UK. That you didn't. This was huge for a long time. It's still pretty big. People want to talk about it. Yeah. Yeah, that's not where I wanted to go. Yeah, so again, I mean, look how far away these people are. From every house is either blocked by bushes or it's really far off the road. Well, yeah, you gotta, okay, I'll tell you what. Since we have 6 Kids UK here, let's do this. Since you don't know it, I'll tell it to you. It's always good to do a refresher. You ready? But if you're out there, everybody, let's try to get the support for the channel up here because we're struggling yet again. And we're really doing, this month is worse than last month. It just keeps going, south. So we need the support back that we used to get. Let me see. Let me get out of here. I'm going to open up my normal folder here. What happened? Whoa. That was weird. This thing has it's frozen. Okay, well, you're going to have to just stay on and have your baby wait for a few minutes, 6 Kids. Did you hear what Grace said? Yeah, you're going to have to wait. Your baby's going to have to wait this time, okay? And is this a Wild Bill Wassman tonight? You guys aren't going to help out Wild Bill Wassman? Jesus, you guys. It's ridiculous. Thanks, Wild Bill. All right, let's see. There it is. Nancy Guthrie right there. I know what she said, Karen. What does that have to do with what I said, though? Why do you repeat stuff like that? It's just so weird. My channel's on in the UK. Yeah, my channel is. All right, here we go. And let me open up, where's the timeline? Okay, here we go. So this is it in a nutshell. Okay, you want to see it? You ready there, 6 Kids UK? Or is your baby already feeding? Let me know. Hello, you guys, everybody stop commenting again. Let's get moving. Keep commenting. Nancy Guthrie approximate timeline. So on January 31st at 5:32 p.m., Nancy Guthrie went to her family's home by taking an Uber. She took an Uber over to her daughter Annie and the husband Tommaso's home for dinner and playing mahjong, etc. And then let me show you that. All right, so here's the whole thing. I guess we'll have to pick back up where we were at some other point. But so this is Nancy Guthrie's home. She got into the Uber and then got a ride all the way over to, let's see, do I still have the daughter's home in here? I think I have to, Let's see. Nancy. There it is. Oh, wow. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. So, that sucks. All right. So, Annie lives right there, though. But let me turn all this crap off again. That's not good. Jeez, that sucks. Turn that off. Yeah, I didn't like any of those either. Didn't need those. Okay. So that's... Where was her house? Was it in there? That's so weird. Because her house was just right there. But I didn't turn it off. Oh, I guess down here. Okay, I got those. And then maybe... Oh, there it is. Annie. There. Alright, so from this home right over here, drove over to Annie's house right here and got there probably at like 5:42. Okay? So they probably got there at 5:42, and then she hung out. And so the Uber driver does know that she's not at home now, which is something, you know, you could throw that in your mind somewhere. And so she gets there at like 5:42 and then hangs out there till probably 9:38, and then Tommaso drove her home, and she got dropped off at 9:48 back at her home. And then when you go back over to the house over here, no, that's not the house. Where the hell did it go? Let me now I have to put Nancy back on there. This is her home right here. So the car pulls into the driveway right there, and believe it or not, the garage door is actually open in this 360-degree video here. And right there, the garage door opens at 9:48 as Tommaso walks her into the home to a door that's inside, at the end of the garage. You can actually see the door back there. And then he leaves and shuts the door at 9:50. All right? So that's at 9:50. What am I looking at? Oh, the membership. Well, how about let's get some super chats in, and we'll get that off the screen, you guys. Come on, we got to get the challenges met and get a challenge going. I was hoping that's what the look it was for, but of course, apparently it wasn't. It was just. Okay. But I'm saying it out loud. Do you need to see it? I'm literally saying it out loud. At 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to her family's home. Then she gets home at 9:48, and here's a garage door right here. And you see it right there? 9:48. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to get us to the goal. We're only at 55% of the nightly goal currently. Inside there's a door in the background, right? So at 9:48, the garage door opens. They walk her to the door. Tommaso does. It's just Tommaso and Nancy. Then Tommaso leaves, and the garage door shuts at 9:50. All right. Then we have on January 1st, so early in the morning, so it's like 9:50 p.m., and so let's just say that's 10 o'clock, 2 hours, 3 hours and 57 minutes later, the doorbell camera disconnects. Okay? They actually filmed the person doing that. Right? So see this guy right here? Look. He walks in. He's got his balaclava on. He's got a pistol right there. He's wearing gloves. And I assume that every single thing that he's wearing is something he just purchased. Like he never wears this stuff before, so nobody's going to say, oh, I know somebody that owns that. They might say that, but it won't be him. Right? So, and then he has a backpack on, etc. And then this is him removing the camera. He's trying to at this point. He's like, okay, and then he wasn't able to remove it, so then he looks around and he finds like a weed, and then he kind of makes a loop out of it. You can literally see him start making the loop right there. See how he's bending it? Right there. Boom. And then he walks over and he places it on the camera itself. And then it just ends because he pulled it off. I think he pulled it off and, something happened. All right. Then when the next day, so then the next morning, let's just go to there currently. Nancy Guthrie was supposed to go to watch a streaming church service that her daughter goes to in New York. That's what they do every weekend. And she didn't show up at the house that was hosting it that weekend. So the people that were hosting it then called Annie and Tommaso, or Annie at least, and said, hey, your mom never showed up. Right? And so then, because of that, at 11:56, the family drove over to the home and checked on her. And then within 7 minutes, they were already like, oh my God. They called 911, and then 13 minutes after that, a patrol car arrives. And the reason they probably called is because they started noticing that there was blood. See that? Like that is expirated blood. That's blood that you have coming in your nasal cavity or in your mouth, and you coughed it up. And it makes that little fine misting, and then there's bigger drops from your nose. All right. It wasn't just after the Uber driver, Donald. I didn't say that. You missed it. It was hours later. And so that's right where the camera used to be. It was pulled off of that bracket right there. You still there? 6 kids, UK, you still there? I'm just making sure. Yeah, we've already talked about that, Donald. That, yeah, it's possible. That's why I said, the Uber driver knows that there's nobody there. And then somebody suggested one time that it might be an interesting racket to have where somebody is, an Uber driver could tell somebody else that, hey, I just, this old lady, she's gone now. And then when she gets back, she lives by herself. She told me in the car, something like that. All right, so that's basically that angle, but then let's go back to here. So remember a minute ago I said at 1:47 the doorbell camera disconnects. But then at 2:12, okay, now this is something you got to know, is Nancy Guthrie, she wasn't paying, she didn't, for some reason they didn't have it on auto pay. Her surveillance camera with, what is it, What's the company that they have? Like I use, we have like Ring. Which one is that one? It was called Nest. Yeah, she had Nest. That's right. So, I just said it. Now watch, somebody's going to type it in. Hey, thanks, Chris O'Connell. Hey, we got to, we're now at like 60%. 65% of the goal. Sweet. All right, so at 1:47 a.m., doorbell camera disconnects. And so then at 2:12, which is 25 minutes later, software detects a person on camera, but no video is available. So she didn't pay her subscription. So what Google Nest does is it has a rolling 3 hours of video. What are you talking about, Wet Seal? Can you get out of here? We're talking about something else, man. Jesus. What witness said that? What witness said that on the stand? Which one? Yeah, he could have said that after he said, I'm not leaving, make me. I can see that. No matter how you look at it, Wet Seal, the Karmelo Anthony is the initial aggressor. But can you move on? We're talking about something else. You're being really rude in the chat, okay? All right, thank you. Anyway, so 25 minutes later, software detects a person. So what happens is there's a 3-hour rolling window of opportunity to watch a video in that state. So if you haven't paid your bill, it'll record 3 hours, a block, within a block of 3 hours. Any motion, it'll keep a motion in its correct time frame. But the 3 hours rolls by. So let's say there's a motion at 2 o'clock. And then there's another motion at 2:30. Okay, well at 5 o'clock, the motion at 2 o'clock is gone, but you can still watch the one at 2:30, but when 5:30 comes around, that one's gone and it's been deleted as well. And so what happens is each motion, it's as if it was deleted, so another motion can write right over the top of where the other motion was. But it's still out there. They were able to find video out there. All right, so 212, software detects a person on camera. Interestingly, though, we know that the camera was, there's a camera right here in the front of this building, right there, and there's a camera right there. You can actually see the little nodule sticking out. That's a camera. And when Nanos was talking about it, he said, when he was reading that, he said, a camera picks up a person at 212. And he said, could it have been an animal? Sure. You know, he doesn't know. Okay, so what he's saying then when he says that, it's an outdoor camera, because he wouldn't even have subconsciously thought of that. So that means a camera outside picked up movement at 212. That's at 212. Then at 228, a pacemaker app, so that means at 212 is likely the time they're entering the home. When the doorbell camera was removed at 147, they likely stepped away from the house for a while and waited and watched to make sure that nobody responded to the fact that they removed that camera or the motion associated with that 147 takedown of the camera. So maybe right around 207 or so, they start headed back towards the home, get in at 212, go in the back. They propped open the back door. They propped open a gate. But the reason they removed the doorbell camera is because a car is going to be pulled up right here because Nancy's going to be taken out the front door. So they had to remove that camera so that it wouldn't be identified, their vehicle, on the camera. So they park it right there. And then the person goes into the home at like 2:12, 13, 14, 15. We don't know exactly when they were in there, but 2:12, it set off the motion in the backyard. That might be about when the gate there was propped open, and there was a door right there, underneath there, that was propped open as well with pots. The pots that are on the deck, so they were propped open. So then they go in there and they confront Nancy Guthrie. Now, we know for certain that, hey, wow, thanks, Chris O'Connell again. And look at that, we got a Marty's Bar and Grill coffee scenario. So if somebody donates 5 memberships, Marty's Bar and Grill will donate a bucket of coffee. Awesome. Jim Lawn said, I want to build a snowman up there. All right, so if you guys can gift 5 memberships, Marty will basically double anything that you guys did there. Or not anything, but up to the 5. Very cool, very cool. Now we're at, let's see, about 69%, maybe 70%. Yeah, so he gets into the home at like 2:15, let's say, and then he confronts Nancy in her room. Now, we know at that point that Nancy's heart rate on her heart monitor. So here's the thing. Nancy Guthrie has a pacemaker and a heart monitor in her room. Her phone has an app on it that, you know, kind of can tell when it's disconnected and so forth, and that kind of thing. And so she's asleep. She has her phone next to her. She has her watch next to her, but she's not wearing any of those things. And then she's confronted. Now, because she's got her pacemaker literally connects via Bluetooth out of her body into this machine. Okay, but you have to be within 10 or 30 feet to the machine for it to record your heart rate, etc., right? So another interesting element then is, look at this. At 2:28, her pacemaker app shows disconnect from the phone. So that means somewhere between 2:12 when they enter the home and 2:28, they've got her far enough away, which could even be, close to the front door because her bed's right over here. And so the unit's going to be right over there. So let's just measure it to the front door. And that is 44 feet just to the front door there. So it's already could be disconnected right out there. And then, but that's the moment she's being removed from the home is right around 2:28. And then she's moved down the, oh, sorry, again, I got the thing on the screen again. It's hard to see that screen because it's over here. But it's 2:28. And because of the blood spatter and the fact that there's droplets of blood going down the path, we know that she was then moved into a vehicle that's right over here. And thanks again, Chris O'Connell, and of course, Wild Bill Wassman. How's that for your recap? Does that make sense? Do you have any questions? 6 kids? Or did she take off? I bet it was feeding time. And thank you, Marty's Bar and Grill. All right, so what do you have? Do you have any questions? I thought that was a pretty good recap right there. I thought it was pretty much encompassed, there's theories that we've had and so forth, for example, I think it's, one of my theory that I had was that he parked his car right there. I mean, look at this spot, by the way. I mean, it's just perfect. Right inside there, and then there's this long driveway that goes to a home, but you could just park right on the edge there, walk right around the corner there, and get to Nancy's home, which is just right there. I mean, it's just, you walk right around the corner and go there. Now, if there's a secondary person, because a lot of people say that if we go back to, I think it's right around in here. See that right there? It does. It looks like it might be the antenna of a walkie-talkie. Okay, and if that's the case, then there might be another person waiting in a vehicle. So when he's about to leave, he'll say, "Hey, I'm about to go out. Get ready." And then they pull up, and that minimizes the amount of time that car would be there. If he didn't do that, then that means he would have had to pull it up there around 2:10, and then he leaves at 2:28-ish. And that's a lot of time, 18 minutes having a car out there. But if you have somebody to call to pull up, then all of a sudden you've reduced that quite a bit. All right, I think we just need, if we got 11 more channel memberships, we'd reach the goal. So maybe we can do that throughout the rest of the show. I guess we'll have to see. Yeah, so it's always so creepy looking at this. And it's also interesting, too, because he's coming from the left over here. So from the air here, he's walking in like that. So, maybe he parked his car somewhere else, or he's just coming back from walking around, I mean, who knows? Maybe he walked over there, looked in a window or something. We don't know. You're a gentle breeze of kindness. What a cool, look at that line right there. That's a good one. Look at that one. Marty, the poet. Chris O'Connell, you're a gentle breeze of kindness to all of us freaks. Thank you. God, that's such a cool, I like that one. I agree with that. But I put a lot of you guys in there. You know, if Wild Bill Wassman wasn't a bass fisherman, I'd say the same thing. I'm just kidding. You know what? You know what's weird, Wild Bill? Those urchin things are so huge now. Like, that's all I see on YouTube. They, oh, here, look at it. And it was weird too because I heard about them. Like, you know, you probably did way before I did, but like, you know, about 6, maybe almost a year ago, I bought some. They melted in my tackle box. I used them last year fishing, over a year ago. But all of a sudden, they're huge right now, you know? Yeah. Thanks, Jim Lawn. Leaving the Marty's Bar and Grill. Wow, darn it. He served you one too many, huh? Yep. All right, now it's just 10. We're just 10 channel memberships short. So I think if we get one challenge, we could do it. That'd be amazing. Out of nowhere. All right. So you got any questions? 6 kids? 7 on the way? Dun, 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 dun. Well, I guess that's what it'll have to be. If we get 10 more, I'll donate 5 myself. So if somehow we can get a challenge, we can do it. It'd be like a 3-for-1er. All right, let's see. Not sure what that circle was. There was something about that a while ago. I'm not sure where we were. Yeah, we were just going this route right here. I think it's really amazing. The route that Annie put out there, I kind of want to know why, you know, what is it? Does anybody know? Can somebody look it up? Like, what was the route for? Oh man, we could have got a challenge in there. We could have done it right then. Thank you. They're selling an eBay for $250 a piece. Oh, really? That's ridiculous. I just bought this guy. He did a YouTube video on it, and they were like 15 a piece. Now, you know, the ones that you know, they're made in Japan. Yeah, those are going to be. But people are making these other ones that are really good, and I think I got them on Amazon. Let's see. What was the? Hold on. Let me see. I'll see if I can find the one that I ordered. I think I got them on a website though. That wasn't Amazon. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody had a YouTube video on it, so I was like, oh, yeah. I got 2 of them, and you know, I just gonna see. They look. I don't know. It's so weird that they work. You know. They look cool in the water though, so maybe that's it. Thank you, Chris O'Connell. There, I got to put you in the spin again. It just says because of a group chat with the neighbors. Oh, interesting. A group chat with the neighbors, huh? So that is kind of interesting, right? Because that might have been like them, you know, talking about surveillance cameras. That might have been it. It's okay, Chris O'Connell. Maybe sometime during the rest of the show we'll get there. I'll just, as soon as we get the other 5, I'll donate 5. But again, man, I wish I could take off the wording on these. So you just saw, I don't like the, can I do that? Hold on. If I take that and I hit property. Oh yeah, and I delete the name. Oh yeah. Can I do it for all of them? Mass? What happens? You know, it lets you combine them into one geometry. How would that work? Does it get rid of the... I almost want to try it on one of these first. Let's see what happens. Combine geometry. What does that do? And then... Oh, wow. Then at that point, I can turn it off. Oh, excellent. Okay, so let's see. I take all the cameras. Do I have any that are out of place? Take all the cameras and then combine them into one and then remove. Oh, wait, then hit properties and then remove. Oh, come on. You can't. Oh, there it is. Then I take off untitled. Oh, yeah. See, there you go. Now all the words aren't or not. Yeah, there's nothing on the cameras anymore, word-wise. And then let me turn off the roads. Why is that there? Borders and labels. Places. Labels. Okay, there you go. And then it's better though, right? I think you can see it better now. The cameras. Because there's not, the words aren't covering the screen. I still think it was the daughter and the son. Well, really? How come? What do you mean? How do you know what medicine was found in Annie's possession? Why in the world would they allow an Uber to bring her home over? Because she wanted to have independence. My parents are 88 and 89, and they were using Uber sometimes so they could go do something on their own. Yeah, it makes total sense to normal people. What does that mean? Needed another car at the house, new camera outside. Don't know what that means. What you're saying. Not being monitored, knew exactly where to turn and get plant type substance to cover. Jesus. Okay. Yikes. Investing in some commercial real estate. Hey, good for you, Jim Lawn. Awesome. Thank you, Karen. So I think we're at we need 5 more memberships to get to the goal. I guess it was 11 before. Yeah, nothing made sense in that, Lori, so I'm not really sure how you were able to respond, but yeah. Let's see. It says, yeah, that was it. Yeah, we knew that. Yeah, we've said that 1,000 times. I've said before, like everybody says that the porch guy was some idiot. But I don't think that, I think at the beginning I was like, joining in with everybody. Oh yeah, he's stupid. Look what he's doing. I think he is a nut job. I think he is a psycho, like a psycho. And he was there. He's totally relaxed. He just knew that he was going to remove the camera somehow, and it was easy to remove. But then he thought, I don't want to rip my gloves. Let me just take this plant and pull it off. He took it off there. He's really casually walking around. He's not nervous. He's not scared. He's nothing. And that's who he is. I think it's very possible that this person did this just to watch the carnage. Like he wanted to see, the media, etc. And they literally sent in the ransom notes. And I think they know that the ransom notes are from the person, but I don't think the person ever intended to give Nancy Guthrie back to them because she was never going to live. I just think that the whole ransom process was that he wanted TMZ and everybody else out there to do crazy. TMZ is going to be like, oh yeah, look, we got these ransom notes, and everybody's going to be talking about it, etc. That's what I think. I think there's a really good chance that is it. Wow, you had 20 prawns. Did you get some butter and oh, that's about it, really. Just butter. And you don't need anything else other than butter. You just lay them in the butter and eat it. That sounds pretty good, Marty. Man, I wish I could do that because I got the gout one. Well, I've got gout before, but now I'm on allopurinol, so I think I could just eat it. Right? Hey, Chris O'Connell, did you watch some of our shows we did on the trial? Yeah, I could. You know what? If shrimp was the only food left on the planet, and it was okay for me to eat it, I would do it. I mean, I think it's the greatest. It's like eating chocolate cake, but it's meat. It's like it's so perfect. And I'll tell you what's also Dungeness crab is right up there. I could just eat Dungeness crab all day long. But what do you mean by, but who's mentioning it, Karen? When you say a specific address being mentioned, by who? Yeah, me too. I like clam too. That doesn't count, but I like clam. I like lobster. I like crawdads. I like shrimp. I like, I think crawdads and lobsters are really the same thing, but one's in freshwater and one's in the ocean. They just one evolved like that. They're I mean, like kind of like when you catch like there's these bass in the ocean. I think sea bass or whatever. They look almost identical to largemouth, other than they're just a little different coloring, etc. But lobsters and crawdads, man, those obviously are this almost, they're from the same whatever, and they split off. One went to the ocean, one went to freshwater. They look exactly the same. Yeah. That's right. I think I prefer shrimp, like the big tiger prawn, over lobster, though. Yeah. I call them crawdads, or, some people call them, like, mud something or other. I don't know. But hey, guys, all we need is 4 more channel memberships, and then I'll donate 5. There you go. All right, here's the Annie map. Let's see. You sent me a 7. Oh, no, it was somebody else. 7.8 magnitude earthquake in the southern Philippines. Oh, my. Ooh. More than 200 people were injured, officials said. The quake, the strongest to strike the Philippines this year, was centered at sea about 8 miles southwest of General Santos. That's crazy. All right, who's going to get those, though, you guys? We got to get those other 4, and then it'll just be, we did it! Okay, I'm opening up the email. Yeah, mud bugs. That's right. That's the word I was looking for. I think it's weird when people say I went fishing for crab, you know. That's just like, what? Okay, that's under Vinny. Annie Guthrie had a group chat with neighbors and sent this map to them. So she sent it to them on her own. At the beginning of the investigation, hoping they might have seen something or had video. This map has been out there, but I was curious today about the 5830 North something address she marked. The home is owned by who just passed away 2 weeks ago. I see. Yeah, let's take a look at that. See, but I think it's interesting. It's not like she came up, hey, wow, thanks, Chris O'Connell. I guess what I won't forget this time. I remember the other day, I did it yesterday because I forgot. Stop what? I'll check out that email you sent Lisa up there in a minute. Or later, I guess. Lisa Bach, shake my head. I'm not even sure if what I'm saying when I say that one. Yeah, so this is Annie's map here. Painstaking. On one of the shows, we went through and found each location, etc. The 5830. I don't know if I don't remember it looking like that. I guess we could type that in. 5830 North there, right there. Yeah, so it's right on this. And then apparently the people moved out of there 2 weeks. The home is owned by an 83-year-old man who just passed away 2 weeks ago. Okay, but you said that in March 30th. So if he passed away 2 weeks ago, that would have been March 15th. This happened in February, so that doesn't seem to, I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting that she actually has the address on the screen, I guess. Oh, yeah? Kept calling me Lisa last night. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's why I said that. Sorry, Lori. I don't know why I just did that. I'm sorry. I knew it was Lori. I was thinking, there's so many Lisas in here. It just made me do that. I get called Gary. Hey, thanks, Chris O'Connell, for getting us all the way home to the goal with the help of everybody else who helped support the channel tonight. Very cool. And thank you also, Marty's Bar and Grill. You know, my diploma said Gary on it from college. I've told the story before. I actually did a U-turn at the top of the stairs and went back and said, my name's Gray. And then for years, they'd send me these letters to try to get me to donate to the college, and it said Gary on it. And I just said, if you ever spell my name right, I'll think about it. I guess we're not going to get to the Dylan Mortensen stuff. This is, I mean, we can always do that. I've got the document. But maybe, just let me take this off the screen again. Look at that right there. See that? All these cameras around. All of them. And somehow, this person eluded them. And what I was telling people earlier is that look at the route that Annie put. This is more interesting about her route. It's like, okay, so why did she, I'd like to know, I understand what people are saying, in the email. Let me open it up again, this Facebook post. So it's right here. It said, hold on a second. Oh, that's my cousin. Okay, so right here, you say Annie Guthrie had a group chat. This is on Vinnie Politics. God, my thing just keeps popping up on the screen. Annie Guthrie had a group chat with neighbors and sent this map to them at the beginning of the investigation, hoping they might have seen something or had a video. So she must have been told about this likely route by law enforcement. Why the hell would she type that in? Don't you think it's interesting that, so she had this group chat and then she sent this to the neighbors saying, hey, here's a map, but I want to know how she created the map. What led her to creating this precise map? Because I guarantee if there isn't another YouTuber out there that built that little map that I just did with the cameras, and then to know that that's really pretty incredibly significant, I think, that she created this map. Because if you look at this, with all these cameras all around on the main streets, this route right here avoids ever being seen by any of these purple cameras anywhere. Don't you think that's pretty interesting? Just, I think it's incredible, actually. I mean, it could have been any, you go up there, oh yeah, and then it has to go by that one, has to go by that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. But nope. This route misses them all. See, there's a camera way over here. That's not going to pick up a car pulling out over there. Even if it did, you wouldn't be able to make it out. It doesn't make it to this camera because it drives this way. Of course, it easily could have turned left there and went that way, and then it had been seen by two cameras, but it didn't do that. So I think it's really interesting that she knew. No, it's not ding, ding, ding like she has something to do with it. I think law enforcement had told her. It'd be an idiotic move if you said, hey, here's how I got out of there. Look at. So, hey, Daphne, you're overthinking it. You're wrong, okay? I'm not saying it's not possible that it's not somebody in the family, but that's not what's going on with that sentence, right? What I just told you. She's not like, hey, everybody, let me show you how I got out of there. I mean, that'd be a joke, ridiculous. I want to know, was she told by law enforcement, hey, look, here's how we think that they may have gotten out because we can't pick them up. We don't have them on camera. I think they went out this way. Yeah. Brain, huh? Yeah. I wish you guys were actually following what we were talking about. That'd be better. Well, it's hard to say, Daphne. I can't take your word for it because nothing you've said tonight I've said, man, that's really sharp thinking. Yeah, so we're gonna have to good. See you later. Yeah. Exactly. See you later. You seem like you're hell-bent on accusing the family of killing, and I'm just not into it, It's that part of the story seems to have faded away other than some of the radical nut jobs that keep talking about it over and over and over again. And we're not even saying, it's absolutely, maybe someday it'll be a possibility, but, we saw Nancy, we saw her hugging Tommaso, and and Annie outside of her house, and that was way after. So you would think at that point that she was certain too that they're not involved, right? Excellent. I'm out. God, thank God. Whew. Wow. Let's see. I know. Lori's going to say, see, Gray, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, look, I don't want to do the conspiracy stuff, you guys. It's just not fun. All right, the chat just died down again. Like, you guys, you got to keep chatting and talking. It's just, you know. Do you guys want me to entertain the conspiracy theories? And keep talking about stuff that's been dead for a long time? Or do you want to try to kind of move forward and, you know, with newer, you know, try to figure out what the hell happened here in reality? Right. So when you have somebody that just keeps saying it over and over and over again, and we've already said multiple times, I think we're probably one of the first channels that have said that this guy is not an idiot, that in fact, he looked incredibly comfortable in what he was doing, casually moving around. He felt safe in what he was doing. And I think it's very possible that, you know, he chose Nancy because she's famous, you know, only because she's the mother of somebody famous. And it would lead to getting a huge amount of exposure. And he's much like an arsonist who would go to, you know, like they set up a fire and they drive over and they watch and they just can't wait to see it. And they probably read all the articles about it. And they're just so happy about the what they caused. Now, why they chose her? What do they have? Was it just for that, or did they dislike, you know, they liked Savannah and wanted to punish her? Or was it really just this person is an easy target, and then it's also a huge payoff for my needs of seeing all this? Yeah, I don't either, Chris O'Connell. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. I just absolutely, I think that this person, like I said earlier, had no intention of returning Nancy Guthrie to the family. I mean, he did take her out of there alive. That's something to kind of look at. Like, he didn't kill her and then remove her. But he got her, I think he kept her alive because he's an individual person and he wanted her to walk out so he didn't have to carry somebody. But she's already, you know, mildly injured. She has a, you know, pretty severe heart condition, on blood thinners, etc. And she just didn't survive. She probably didn't survive longer, or he just killed her later. You know, it's I think it's that simple. And that's what he did. And I don't think, you know, they got the ransom came out like the next day. The ransom letter. And they didn't provide any proof. They were just saying, hey, can I get some money out of this too, maybe? But I think it was really, the fact that he sent it to TMZ bolsters the theory. Because TMZ is a sort of just a tabloid news outlet situation where, why would you send it to them if you're really trying to get a ransom? You try to keep it on the down low, do it behind the scenes, get your money, and then here she is or whatever. But instead you sent it to TMZ. That was the whole thing that always bothered me. But it could have been, you know, to be fair, is that he sent it to TMZ because the other news outlet wasn't mentioning that they got it, so wasn't sure if they got it, and so then thought, oh, if I send it to TMZ, they'll definitely make sure that people know that they got it. See? Brain, Butin, and the DMV is my new next brand name. All right, cool. Right. So that they would go, hey, everybody, we got it. We got it. And then that spread around. But when you sent it to the local one too, why did you do that? So I guess if you're thinking he's just a psycho looking for, why did he first send it to the local one, where you'd almost know that, I don't know, maybe it was just, people don't always think about every single thing like that. I think it was on the first ransom note. Yeah. Yeah, Harvey just kept having video after video after, that guy was such a, God, what a, I mean, I got to tell you, like when he started making a big deal about that one guy with 2 backpacks that was near a fence, and then he tried to manipulate the facts of the case to make the timeline work. Oh yeah, no, it was 2:25 when he removed the can. It was so sick. And then you actually can go and watch it where he was talking to the other host that he's with, and the other host said, well, what about the 147? He goes, hey, don't mention that. That'll just confuse people. No, what it really, no, Harvey. It'll just make people realize there's facts that completely contradict what you're about to say. Okay? So yes, it would confuse them in the story of complete BS that you're about to try to sell people, and you have that fact too. Sure, yes, that is true. Wow. It's just, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm glad that at least they got the information. They tell us that it's out there and whatever, but man, come on. What are these right here? Oh yeah, that's right. Those are, yeah, the blue again are the only 4 spots that I think are reasonable that okay. So see how there's a main street? See how that street's bigger right there? And then the street's bigger, even this street's kind of big, has 2 roads that go down like that. And then this is sort of bigger here. And so basically, if you go like this, and then, let's see, I think right to there, and you drive up and it winds up, these are all kind of the bigger roads. So what I did was I went around to each one and said, that's not likely, that's not likely. And the blue pins are where it's more likely that you would exit because it's something easy to remember instead of winding around in these crazy back roads. Like, why would you drive over here and then up into there and be right next to a place that really would have surveillance cameras that you could drive by? Like, I would bet you right here, had this crime taken place in there, there's a multitude of these ones are different. See, like this would have really helped if he drove through this neighborhood right here, because this one is kind of a little bit more normal. Still not great, but you're not going to make it out there. So that's red. All these are red, but this one's blue because here's the house, and it's really simple. You drive right down like this. And then once you get to the 4-way intersection, you turn right and boom, you're on a main road. So that would be simple to remember. Then you kind of work your way down. And then this one right here, nope, because look at that, it's crazy. Dirt roads, you're winding around over there. But this one makes a hell of a lot of sense. Because you would just come out of the house, drive around the corner here, and once it gets to a T, you turn left, and boom, you're right back out on the main road. So that's why that one has a blue. This little road there is red because that's just not going to happen. I mean, you're not going to do, it's just, okay, over here, let's go on the dirt road and then drive right next to these homes and come out there. Doesn't make sense. So, it worked all the way around, did it all the way around, and then even did it up this street over here. And I ended up putting a blue pin right there and that turns out that's exactly the route that Annie had it going to get to that blue pin. What do you mean, what did the address pull up? I don't know what that means. I just read what you said it said. He said that the person died in 2 weeks prior, which was 5 weeks after the murder or the kidnapping, right? It was 5 weeks later. So I don't even know what the significance is that the person died that lived there. I mean, he's 80-something years old. I'm sure. I bet if you did a circle around here, there's probably 1 or 2 people die every few months in there. This is like just filled with elderly people. They could have done that, or they just knew the area really good, Songbird. That's the thing. That's one of the things that I think is absolutely possible here. But you would still take the easiest route out. I mean, if you live there, you know the main streets, right? You're not going to go, oh yeah, I know this weird dirt road and drive around and do this weird. You just know how to get around, right? Like you know how to get from your house to a grocery store, even if you go on some side streets, but you might not know those other streets, those weird ones that go around over here and there, because you just, why would you ever need to go there? So I would think like the main streets that people travel through the area on, the ones that you would know if you lived there, those are the ones that this would likely, you would travel on. And they're easy to get around, especially if you knew it, right? But again, I just think it's really interesting that Annie has a route here that she wants people to look for surveillance on that is exactly goes out without touching a camera one time. I think that's pretty interesting. And not because, ooh, she's revealing the map they used. I mean, that's ridiculous. I think it's interesting because I think she was told something and the police gave it to her to tell her little community of houses to look at. You know that? I actually think that. I think that's a possibility that they told her that. You know, look, we don't have any camera up here. We think it's sort of in this area. If you can get people to have footage, that'd be great. I don't think this one. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, see, these aren't cameras right there. Those aren't the same type. So, yeah, this one doesn't have... those aren't cameras. But, yeah, we went around this whole area and put the cameras right where they're at. So you would think that just even if he made it out of the area... Yeah, see, isn't that crazy? I bet you they've looked on all these cameras, they looked at around 228 to 240, and there's really, cars don't make sense. It doesn't, any car that drove by really doesn't make sense for, the movement. Maybe a car drives north here. Okay, that's not going to be it. That camera has nothing. Nothing. So they can't find anything on any of these cameras that would have left the general neighborhood area. And they probably, I almost would bet you that they have some footage of lights on cameras, though, moving in a direction, but they aren't able to continually follow it because of just how poorly, the elevation and the foliage, etc., that's out there. What do you mean, what road they're talking about? What are you talking about, Karen? This whole red line right here is exactly her route. The guy lived, this is the house they're talking about right here. That's what Vinny said somebody died at, this house. That's it. I don't know what you mean by, I'm wondering what road they're talking about that the guy lived on and how close that, yeah, I showed it. It's right there. Remember a minute ago we loaded it up on the screen? It's right there. So I guess we could... Ooh, what the heck? I guess we could continue to... move around on here because I think we were sort of, and this, we got to go to this side here. We were about right here when we gave up on it. So this is Annie's route. You want to just do the whole one? Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Well, like she might have known. Yeah, hey, see if you can get some people here. Here's where we'd like you to look. And then so she just worded it like that. She didn't want to say law enforcement wanted it. And so if you think about it like that, then that means that they may have tracked a vehicle, in some locations here, but they need more. They need something to identify the vehicle. So they're hoping somebody else has something. I think that's crazy. I think we're absolutely onto something right here. Like, I think this is something that's real. And I'm not saying it like, I mean, I really do. I remember thinking sort of like in the same lines the other day when we drew this out and then we saw where the cameras were. I think that they have indications, little movements on cameras in various places, and maybe they see the vehicle turning right there. And then they don't see the vehicle up here on a camera that should be on, so they assume it went this way. All right, and then they have maybe a camera over here does not film the car, so they assume it went this way, but they don't have it on footage. See, that's what's interesting. Like, that's how you can do this shit. So here, let me just explain this to you, and you'll be like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Watch. So let's see, right here, let's just pretend that right there, a camera filmed what they believe might be the car pulling over to here, right? But then a camera right there doesn't film the car going this direction. So they know it went north now. They don't have it on camera anymore. It goes up north here. And then perhaps a camera here doesn't film the car. So they believe it kept going north. And then perhaps, maybe there's another camera in another location. Or maybe another one picks up a light of a vehicle coming up here. And then there's a camera here that doesn't pick up something. And there's one over here that does. Look at, that looks like one that might, pick something up. This one specifically. Right? So they might have a camera right there at this house that doesn't film a car driving that direction. Right? So then they know that the car went this way because it didn't go north and it didn't go east. So they think it went this way just based on logic, okay? And it's not going to pull, unless it's one of these homes, it's not going to go down those because those they end, and these end too. So it's not going to go down there unless it lives there. The person lives there. So then it goes this direction, and maybe they have cameras over here. They don't see it, and maybe there's an indication. See, that's how they can do it without really getting a shot of the vehicle. Where is it not filmed, but we see it here? Okay, so she might have been given this map, actually, by law enforcement, and she gave it out to the friends, like, oh yeah, check this out. I don't know why that one address would be on there, this 5830, like, who put that in there? Or did somebody recreate it and that just showed up on there? I don't know. Well, the perp going up to the house to take, I don't remember the date. Why? Why does that matter? All right, let's see. Well, I would imagine the date that I have on the still frame is probably pretty close. Yeah, that's old. I mean, that's newer than it should be. I have a February 17th image, but I don't know if that's probably late too. Well, I know I can do it. February 10th. February 9th. Did that 10th look like the 10th thumbnail? Yeah, because it's already out on the 10th already. So they had it by the 10th for sure. They didn't have it on the 5th. How about the 8th? Nope. Not on the 8th. The 9th? Nope. I don't have any pictures on the thumbnail. That definitely would have been on the thumbnail. But it does show up on the 10th. So I would imagine the 9th or 10th is when that came out. Because every one after that, I have picture like that image on there. 11, 12. Yeah. So I'd say the 10th. That's my bot. I didn't type that in. But yeah, if you want, look at how I misspelled Oithers. I must have been typing that one in quick. Hey, help Oithers. Who the hell is Oithers? Yeah, a friend of Jim's. All right. Anyways, you guys have any more thoughts here? Well, I guess tomorrow's going to be more trial date for. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting going over what's been said at trial, just to see where it's leaning, right? I wonder where our buddy Jason Bourne is. He currently has me locked in my closet with no phone charger. Yeah. All right. Anyways, any other thoughts, you guys? What are you saying? You think so too, Wild Bill? I always get going and I don't even remember what I asked for someone to respond. Oh, the trial, yeah. I know, but what for, Karen? Why do you need the date of the image and some other date, you know? I mean, just tell us what you're doing instead of pretending there's some... Yeah, let's see. Like you're onto something. I don't see... Oh, there it is. Yeah, I went over that earlier. We already did that earlier, Lynn. Yeah. She just made a post. Sent chili for 6 joules. Wow. That's 3 cents, Jim. Thanks, buddy. Keep that for the bubblegum machine next time. What are those things, man? That's just the craziest. I think that's more for like gamers or something, you know? It is something, though. I mean, it's 3 more cents than I had, I guess. When I do my little laps around the home, I put... I have this little cup, Gray Hughes Investigates tumbler that somebody made for me a long time ago. And I put, I'll have like 25 pennies in my hand. And then I do these, every time I go around for a lap, I drop 1 penny in. And then when I'm done with the 25, I take them out and go the other direction. And then do 25. And then that ends up being like over 2 miles or something. And then I do another... I try to do like 1,000 steps every day. 10,000, I mean. Doesn't seem to do me any good, but at least I can keep walking. I like that. Yeah, but that's not going to help figure out Annie in the group chat by wondering when the surveillance is. That doesn't... you know, I mean, it might be worth just sending her an email and say, you know that map you drew, is there any way you could tell me, like, how did you come up with that? You know, because it's really interesting. Maybe I'll send her my map, you know, and try to see if she'll respond. I don't know. What don't you get? Oh, you don't have the jewel option? Yeah, how does the jewel option... Is it underneath the money thing? Or if you hit the money... Yeah, I don't see it on my end either. Over here. Let's see if it's over on this one. Don't you have to buy them or something? Or... Yeah, I don't see it over here either. Huh. I think it's just on cell phones. I think he probably... Oh, the whole day? I don't know, 15,000 maybe. One of the days I was out there, I walked like 20. It was crazy. So I did his route twice and then kept, I don't know, just walking around doing stuff. Yeah, so when I hit the dollar symbol, it doesn't say that. Yeah, it just says super sticker, super chat, membership, gifting. That's it. All right. Alright, we're going to do another notebook spin, but you guys got to remember to send me the damn address for the notebooks. Alright, here we go. Here's the tonight's notebook spin. I think I might read, you know, like, do something, get some new merch, things like that. Oh, you'll send it? Cool. Awesome, Jim. That'd actually be $9.94. Hey, look at that. Karen won one. I just sent her like 3. Do you want that one, Karen? But you gotta send me the address again. Oh no, it's 1:30. Okay. Yeah, I should make a GHI visor. That would be cool. It's up to you, Karen. Do you want me to spin again for somebody else? Let me know. Hey, look at that. I got 800 jewels from Jim Lawn. Look at that guy. Oh, look at that guy. Hey. That should have been the... I don't have the music for that. Yeah! This is PIR, Portland International Raceway, where the biggest thing since the Pinewood Drag. We have Rod Laver, a retired astronaut with his hydroelectric car. It's guaranteed to rip up the road right in front of your face. We also have Jim Hansen with his Beavermobile. The only car that'll knock down trees at 200 miles an hour. Trials from 6 and 7 be there. Yeah. Hey, where's the other one? Ding, ding. 198 Portland by 2. They have the ball 35 seconds to go. Calhoun on the inbound play. They get the Bobby Gross right in front of us. Bobby takes a look. Hands back to Lionel Hollins. They're playing the clock down. 25, 24 seconds. So working for a good shot and hopefully go in. Hollins works the clock down to 9, 8 around the Robin Jones pick from the circle. He scores! Lionel Hollins A perfect play, a pick and roll. One of the easiest plays in basketball. He got about a 17-foot jump shot and canned it. Yes, you too can listen to the old games on 101.97. Na, 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 Free, Collins, baseline, block, Walton, picked up by Lucas. Down the floor to Johnny Davis, over for Mortensen, can he go with reverse layup? Yes, sir, good. Now that's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. Hey, I did make it into the public arena somehow. There's one last thing. You can spin again, she said. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. We're spinning again. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. And there we go. Oh, look at all the... That's even shuffling. Look at all the Chris O'Connells. Do you want a notebook? Chris O'Connell. You definitely deserve one. So do a lot of people, like Wild Bill Wassman, but he always gives his away anyway. Yeah. All right. I think there's 30 things in there. Anybody? You want it? Chris O'Connell? Yeah. What's the, I like this other one. Yeah, I know, you give your, I know. Let's see. Oh, the Auto Key Gin. That's the one. All right, shovel, shovel, shovel. We're doing another one. Chris O'Connell wants somebody else to win. Now look at that. It's now. All right, so STP now, you just won yourself a notebook. You just have to send the address in, and I put it on a mailer for a whole bunch of different catalogs for you, and I'm just kidding. You get 17,000 emails a day from every known. Yeah, there you go. From the green forests of the... I'm doing Art Bell. From the green forests of the Pacific Northwest, I bid you all good evening, or good morning, as the case may be. Good night, Karen. Thank you for your support there tonight, Karen. Appreciate that. You love that music? I can just listen to it for hours. It's like my Art Bell replacement music. I'll do his. From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening, or good morning, as the case may be. Tonight we have special guest, Richard C. Hoagland. He'll tell you why we haven't been back to the moon in over 50 years. And the stories he has to tell you, well, hold on to your seats, huh? And then we'll have on Major Ed James, who is an expert in remote viewing. The things they've seen, you won't believe. And then, to end it all off, we'll have on Linda Molden Howe of the Cattle Mutilations and Crop Circles. And boy, will she have some stories to tell you. There are crop circles popping up all over the country. And some of them even have dead cows in the middle. Well, there you go, there you go, there you go. Anyways. Yes, remote viewing, remember that shit? With Major Ed Dames. Yeah. Yeah, that was good stuff. That was good stuff. Yeah, remote viewing. Which is really just being psychic. But apparently they had a whole, like they thought it was real. I mean, they had, like, departments on that shit. Oh, yeah, the shadow people. Yeah, you got on my other that channel that I haven't used in years, the... what was it? Personal Paranormal is what it was called. See, it wasn't like, oh, I want to talk about aliens and shit. It was more about, those stories that everybody has. Those one-off stories that are like, man, this one time. It was like my balloon story, right? Like that one. Everybody has one of those. Right? Wild Bill? I bet you have one. Or 6. Those stories where it's just like, man, that's so weird. Just one time, I had all these people tell their stories, and then I would actually spend like a week making a video with all these different special effects and everything to try to represent what they were saying. But man, that took way too many hours. Yeah, Shadow. One of them was Shadow Man Cometh or something like that. And one of the other ones was Begone. No, it was Begone Shadow Man. That's what it was called. On Personal Paranormal, Begone Shadow Man. And the guy, he told the whole story. He was total skeptic type. But he goes, man, this one, it was so weird, man. I saw this. Maybe I should do a show like that. Maybe on like late night, like on Sunday nights, we could do, not Sunday. Well, I think Saturday would be better, right? Because then people don't have to worry about the next day. But maybe like on Saturday we could do a show. Maybe it ends at like, I could do an earlier one, like 5 to 7. And then at 8 o'clock we come back on and we do like that. Again, people can call in and they tell your story just on the phone. You don't have to have your face on there or anything. Would any of you guys do that? Everyone has one. What do you got? You got one, Chris O'Connell, right? That one time where it was just something like, wow, I can't really explain it, but this happened. Those? Everybody has those, right? Who doesn't have those? I haven't, Gray. I really haven't. Well, get out more, okay? Yeah, well, I mean, what do you guys think about? Somebody throw something out. What do you got? Just give me like a little idea of what you have something. I've got 3, really, or 2 that I remember, but I know there's a third because what the hell is that one? I mean, I do have moments where, really, I don't know what you call it, like perception of some sort. I don't call it ESP or anything, but it's just sort of I just really know what's happening without really having it verified. I think I'd use that in true crime a lot, you guys see it, right? I mean, I work, see, sometimes perception is like common sense and everything put together, and then it's spooky how at the end it's exactly what you said. So it almost feels like that. You do too, Lisa. You got some bullshit. I don't have anything. I'm pretty dull. That's ridiculous. Come on, Lisa Valenzuela. You know what Lisa did? She just pulled the Brady Bunch move. I don't have a good personality. I need a new personality. Next time we come in here, Lisa's going to say, pork chops and applesauce, see? Now, hopefully some of you guys got that. I don't have anything. I'm pretty dull. I'll be thinking about an old friend and get a call from... Yeah, that's crazy, right? There you go. Right, Marty. Exactly. Wild Bill lost 7 days due to abduction. Woke up on Marty's dumpster. And you were right there to film it, Jim. How did you know that Wild Bill would be on the dumpster? That's amazing, Jim. So is that your story that you're going to call in with? Yeah. Lisa, come on, Lisa. You know you have something, right? Like, you know that weird moment where you felt a chill or something and then something happened or, you know. Exactly. How did you know, Jim? That's amazing. I was just watching Independence Day today. I guess Lisa was serious. She took off. She felt depressed. I'm pretty dull. You're not dull, Lisa. But again, like I said, you're going to come in saying, pork chops and applesauce. What are you having? What are you making for dinner, Alice? Pork chops and applesauce. Pork chops and applesauce. So we're having pork chops and applesauce, see? And Alice was like, what? What the hell are you doing? Peter was being Humphrey Bogart, or Bogart, whatever the hell his name is. Yeah. I'm here, everybody. Come on, Lisa. Jesus, you say you're a buzzkill. What the hell are you talking about? I don't have anything. I'm pretty dull. And then you say you're still there? Oh, man. A woman sat next to me after my mom died and just started talking something to me, very familiar, and patting my hand. She looked at me and said, I have to go now. It was a little casino. I felt it was my mom. Huh. There you go. So Lisa does have a couple. Now they're coming. Here we go. I'll tell you, this is another one, the weird one, after my brother died, right? So I had a couple after my brother died. But another weird one was, I had a dream, like the night he died, I somehow was able to fall asleep late, you know. And in the dream, he came up to me and said, hey, Gray, I've got some Blazer tickets. I was going to go to the game with you, but I can't go anymore. And it's so weird because he seemed like he was totally right there, you know, and you wake up sad that it really wasn't him. And then that was when I was in Eugene. So then obviously we went all the way back to Portland the next day, you know, just because, you know, my brother died and all the families getting together. And right when I pull up with my other brother, Grant, my dad walks out and goes, hey, here's 2 Blazer tickets that I got for you and Garrett, but why don't you and Grant go today? I mean, how weird is that, you know? Like, that's just pretty weird shit, you know? Or like, here's 2 Blazer tickets. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was just such a weird thing like that. I mean, you know. And then, you know, it was kind of cool over the years because me and my brother used to start playing Grant, he's like 6'4". We started playing hoops all the time. I literally, he'd get the rebound, throw it to me, and then he'd take off like a gazelle, and I'd just zip it up there, and bam. I mean, it was amazing. We were just quick up and down the court. Or at least he was. Let's see. Yeah, so I got that one. You know, you guys have all heard the balloon story, I'm sure. Then the other one was with my grandfather, or my uncle. That's right, it's my uncle, like I mean, he seemed older. He was like a great uncle or something. Well, maybe he just sort of wasn't. Man, I don't know, man. He's pretty old. But, you know, he had some weird cancer, like something. He was in a lot of pain. I remember my mom talking to me on a night, and she said, "Oh yeah, he's in so much pain and everything." And I was like, "Oh, geez, I was thinking about him. I just felt shitty for him." And then in the middle of the night, at like 3 a.m, I woke up, and I just knew that he passed away, and he wasn't suffering anymore. I could feel it. I mean, it was so weird. I woke up just going, and I even woke up my brother, and I go, "Hey," you know, and I told him. I go, "Man, I think he died. He just said you know, he's peaceful now. He's not in pain anymore." And then, you know, then we eventually went back to sleep. And then my mom called the next morning and said he passed away. And she told me the time, and it was the same exact time that I woke up. I mean, it's so weird. I mean, it's the weirdest shit in the world, you know. I don't really know how to explain it. Like, how do you explain something like that? You know? You just can't. It was like, she goes, "Yeah, he died at 3 a.m. And I was like, man, I woke up knowing. And I actually felt happy and had a weird, peaceful feeling at that moment. Very strange, you know. But he was so cool. He took us fishing, and, you know, he was just had a cool personality. He got mad at us fishing one time, though. We were up in I think it was this lake in eastern Oregon somewhere, and there's a little creek that feeds into it with these little tiny brook trout. And me and my brother are just stomping around, breaking the branches as we're moving around, scaring every damn fish. I mean, those fish aren't going to come out. And he was trying to be really quiet and delicately to try to catch those 6-inch little brook trout. And we were just like, hey, you know, just idiots, you know. But that's when I wouldn't do that now, but that's what I didn't know better at the time. Well, it's more that he had the peace, you know. You know, that I felt that he had the peace. Oh, I was at work and heard there was a double homicide in Brentwood. They gave an address, and for some reason, I went to the tax system and looked it up. Well, that's just you doing that, though. I don't know. What's the story about that one? Okay, I was at work and heard there was a double homicide in Brentwood. They gave an address, and for some reason, I went to the tax system and looked it up. The owner of the house was Nicole Brown, and I thought, who the hell is that? But that's not that. I'm talking about the sort of paranormal stuff. You know, something that's like a little like, wow, that's weird. You know, how'd that happen? Jim said when my dad died, I had dreams of him, and I at concerts back in the 70s, but we were both teenagers. It was cool. Yeah, isn't that neat? Because when you're having those dreams with a sibling or a parent or something, it feels way more real than other dreams that you have. It's strange. But why was it weird that you looked up when they gave you the address? You said up there, you said, okay, I was at work and heard there was a double homicide in Brentwood. They gave an address. So then you went and looked up the address, like you do now, right? Like you look up an address in a case. Or did you misword that? I don't know. Maybe I'm not reading it correctly. I'm trying to figure out the paranormal angle. I mean, why wouldn't you look it up? Or I guess that was prior to now, where everything's easy to look up. I don't know. I'm trying to... Okay. So you just did it, and then it turned out to be... The one time you looked up something like that, it turned out to be the O.J. Simpson case. Okay, that's... Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Cool, man. Ugh. Jeez. Okay, who's got one? Who's got one out there? How about you, Chris O'Connell? How many times have we, I mean, just watching the show, how many times have we done stuff where all of a sudden you go, wow, that's so weird? Because, I mean, it's hard to come up with the answers, but I remember so many times where we're sort of working through something and then something just like, wow, what are the odds of that? And then boom, 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 and then it works out to something cool. Yeah, I mean, maybe sometimes it's like, luck. You know how Tiger Woods, for example, in golf, a lot of times we go, God, he's so lucky. I mean, how does he make some of those shots that he used to make? He doesn't make those anymore. Like that one that rolled and the Nike logo showed up and it fell in, Like the shot he made to make that was absolutely ludicrous. But sometimes you say, the better you are, the luckier you get, right? So sometimes, if you're really good at something, you're luckier than everybody else because you're able to put yourself in a situation where you're a little closer than somebody else, and then your ball goes in and theirs doesn't. But I always thought that, like, the people willed his balls into the hole. Like, it just, some of the shots he made were so freaking ludicrous that you almost just say to yourself that humanity, the people who all just thought he was the greatest in the world, that rooted for every shot that he did, they all put the ball in for him. But over the years, he lost that because he, the stuff with his wife, and then the gambling, and then his crap with his drugs and crashing the car. So he doesn't have the same people. Like, he had all of humanity following and willing his ball into the hole. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. Shot, like, one time, I remember Jack Nicklaus was commentary. It was some tournament. He was way above the hole, and then to get it on the green, it's downhill to the hole. And Jack Nicklaus said, yeah, I mean, it was his tournament. So he goes, it must have been the Memorial. He said, this shot here is so difficult. If he puts it within 15 feet, it's a great shot. And then Tiger flips it up in the air, hits the green, and starts rolling. And it just gingerly goes right in the center of the hole. It's like, how the hell did you make that thing? Nobody makes that. And there's just been so many like that. And the putts he makes, my God, he used to make these 75-footer, goes over there, ding, 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 ding. And it looked like he just knew exactly where it was going the whole time. But I think humanity, the will of people, willed a lot of those balls in. It sounds ludicrous, but it feels like that. And he lost that. That's why he stopped making those same shots after he lost the majority of humanity. That's just my an opinion that I've got there. And I've said that before to, like, friends and so forth. It did look like that. It's crazy. I'll tell you one of the coolest ones, if you ever see it on a short, is Jack Nicklaus's, let me do this one. It's hilarious, because Jack Nicklaus is, obviously he's the greatest golfer ever to play. Well, I think Woods is, talent-wise might be the best, but he didn't win as many as Nicklaus. But either way, they're both the top two. Nicklaus has 18 majors, and Tiger has 15. Let's see. Jack Nicklaus putt. I think that's going to be the one. Yeah, this one here is just hilarious. It's just, you got to see this thing. Well, it's not hilarious. It's just crazy. So see this?
No.
So look at, so this is this putt where, Miller over here, he goes, oh, I'm not going to putt this. This is ridiculous. What?
Oh, no.
Johnny's saying there's no way you can make it for them.
So he goes, there's no way. Look how far that is. Like that flag over there is freaking a mile away. Like, see that flag? That thing is like 100 feet up there and over to there and everything.
There's no chance putting it.
Why? He said a good putt.
There's no chance, man.
There's no chance.
Show you how to putt it?
See, this is Jack Nicklaus. See, Nicklaus never lost the humanity mojo. So he goes, you want me to show you how to do this? So look how far he's walking just to get down to the dam where the ball is. It's like a half mile over here, right? I'm an 8 handicap. All right, so here we go.
There you go.
So look, he didn't even take any time here. He just goes, yeah. Want me to show you how to do it? Yeah, check it out.
Yeah, show me how to do it.
That's incredible, I mean, I don't care. That's just like, that's what those people do. That's the thing, is like, that is like on cue. Hey, you want me to do it? Hey, watch this one. Boom. Ridiculous, And so that's what, see, Nicklaus never lost the Tiger Woods. I bet tomorrow we could go out and throw a putt and it would probably go in, as long as enough people were watching. Yeah, see, Jim, and then everything was normal until that last comment you made. You see, and YouTube even held it. That's why it's not out there. Jesus, what in the hell, man? Why do you do that? It's crazy. Let's see. Yeah, just like Tiger, he does those. Yeah, yeah. I know you say that's just a joke, but it's not appropriate. You know what I'm saying? Like you say that, like, oh yeah, it's a joke, and yeah, we all know that you're joking, but it's not really funny. It's not funny, and sort of, I wish I could, if I said it out loud, then I'd be saying the joke. Are you trying to make it like you're trying to make it about golf, sort of? I guess, I don't know, but anyways, don't worry about it. It didn't make it out there, no big deal. All right, so let me say thank you to we got Wild Bill Wassman. It's gonna be a Wild Bill Wassman show. Alley Cake, Tracy Von Brott, Wild Bill Wassman, Me, Alley Cake, Wild Bill Wassman, Karen, Wild Bill Wassman, and then Tracy Von Brott. Again, thank you. And then we had Alley Cake, Karen again, then guess who? Wild Bill Wassman. Then after another minute or so, I guess in this case, he did another one. No, that was 4 minutes. He did another one. Then we had Alley Cake, and then Karen, and then Lynn, then STP Now, who won the notebook. Then Lori Bach, SMH. Then Wild Bill Wassman. Then Karen, then Michelle, then Alley Cake, then Karen again. Same. It's like the same. It just keeps rotating around. And then Wild Bill Wassman. And then Whaley Awesome. And then Karen. And Karen, thanks so much. Karen did a whole bunch of different ones tonight. Karen, and then we had Richard Watts. And then we had, guess who? Wild Bill Wassman. And then 6 Kids UK who showed up. And we did a whole recap. All right. Then we had Jim Lawn. And then we had a barrage from Chris O'Connell with 5 gifted memberships. Then Chris O'Connell with 5 gifted memberships. Then Chris O'Connell with 5 gifted memberships. And then guess who? Wild Bill Wassman. And then Jim Lawn coming up from behind. And then we have Chris O'Connell. He's down the far stretch. And then Karen 777. And then Jim Lawn. And then they're neck and neck. It's Karen and then Jim Lawn. And then Chris O'Connell comes up from behind. Gifted 5 more. Then I gifted 5 because you guys reached the goal. And then we had Jim Lawn at the end. And then we also have Marty's Bar and Grill with the bucket of coffee. So thank you very much, Marty's Bar and Grill. All right. I should have done play-by-play, damn it. I wanted to when I was a kid. I used to just sit around and do that all the time. But, yeah, nah, whatever. It is what it is. You know, we don't always... But I did make it into the realm of, like, talking somewhere. Yeah, let's see. So, anyways, thanks everybody for reaching. This is our 3rd night in a row. So we made the goal on the first night of the month, and then the next 2 nights we didn't even make 40% on 3 nights in a row. So we got way behind, and then we made the goal by $3 on the 4th night, and then we made it. Last night we made up extra, although the one that was only by $3 we also had was augmented by coffees from Marty. Then we had I think yesterday we made up for some of the other night, and then tonight we did okay again. My voice is gold, huh? If my face would just match it, you know. That's the whole thing. I've got a radio face, you know, that's for damn sure. But anyways, you guys find the show interesting tonight? We never made it to the... But we can always do the Dylan Mortensen's comments, you know, whenever, you know. It seems like there's... we need to sort of keep in touch with Nancy Guthrie, but we also have that trial that I'm glad, you know, people, two or three different people sent me emails saying, hey, you should cover that. And I think the way we're doing it, I'm glad it's not in court, because, like, do you really want to listen to that for 8 hours? Because I think the way we're doing is better with the recap, and then you just sort of go through the main points and you kind of got it, you know. Yeah. So thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. But hey, when I'm doing this show sometimes, why don't you guys send super chats in with comments that, like, at the end, like a comment about something or a question, you know, because I always notice that, I mean, while I appreciate it, like, there are comments like, oh, I'm matching somebody's wave or whatever, but it'd be cool if you guys had comments about what we're talking about. Then at the end, I can actually go through and or even, like, at various intervals, go through and get to the super chats and discuss those, and then move on maybe to the next case, and then people send in super chats with questions about that one, and then I can talk about, or not even questions, they could just be comments, something to talk about. Because I actually like bouncing, you know, I don't like the conspiracy shit, but, you know, if you guys have, like, interesting thoughts on a case, then we can talk about that for a minute, you know? Does that make sense? Or not? All right. Anyways, thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow. But who the hell knows what tomorrow will bring? Thank you very much for watching. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.
Hey, Gray, this is really cool, dude.
Would you shut the hell up, Mary Lou, for God's sakes? We're on the conclusion of the show.
That's not very nice, Gray. I just want to hum along. Okay. Thank you for watching Gray Hughes Investigates, where we cover true crime using logic, reason, and common sense. Thank you very much for watching, and as I always say, again, until next time, be safe out there.
What in God's name are you doing, Mary Lou? I was right in the middle of doing my conclusion, and you jumped right in and stole the mic.
Well, I wanted to, Gray. Good night, everybody.
Oh, my God.
Correct.
Evil can never be dead enough. And some of you, you make shit up.
All right. Good night, everybody.